Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. Tim, October episode, we're getting into it now. Fall is officially here, right?
Right. It's only going to be 90 in Texas.
That's right, instead of the usual 110 plus, right? So we're glad you guys are joining us tonight. And Tim, there are a couple of changes that we should mention. I don't know if they're real big changes, but a couple of changes we should mention. And one of the things has to do with the live chat. So we always know you guys are in the live chat with us, and you can continue to send your links, your posts, and things there, but you can also use the super chat feature, Tim, and it looks like somebody just did. In fact, it was YouTube Punk. He sent some money and said, thanks guys for the live show. Thank you for that, YouTube Punk. But basically, if you click the money icon, you can send a message that will be pinned to the live chat for a certain amount of time, depending on how much money you spend. So that helps us out. So we do appreciate any donations that come through the super chat. So again, thank you guys for those. But that's a little bit different, Tim. A little bit different than what we're used to. But we'll try to get to all the comments, regardless of whether you pay or not, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just a nice little thing to help us out more than anything. So thank you to everybody who is in our live show room tonight, our live chat, Tim. And for those of you who will be donating, thank you for that as well. So, Tim, let's work into the show, though.
Okay.
How are you doing? What's going on? You have been a busy man, I hear.
Very busy. Been doing a lot of traveling. And speaking of traveling, I'm going to be traveling next week out of state. And so I'm going to be in the San Jose, California area for the very first time. I've never been to California. So if any of our listeners are in the San Jose area, I'll actually be staying there for a week and doing some training and some work and stuff. So if anybody's listening and is in that area, I would really like to have somebody to hang out and do something with.
So they can reach you by emailing you at tim@arcaderepairtips.com. That goes to your email address. Or Facebook, obviously, I know, or if you want to contact him via our Facebook page, too, we can get you in touch with Tim. So if you want to hang out with Tim, Tim will be in the San Jose, California area, and let us know where you're located, and maybe Tim will come.
Couple things I want to see. One is I want to go to the location of the very first Chuck E. Cheese.
There you go.
So if you've never seen that, maybe you're in that area, we could go tour that together. And I've never been to the Golden Gate Bridge, so I'm going to do that, too.
Absolutely.
So
well,
I won't have much time to do much sightseeing, but maybe a little bit of time in between, or you could come by the store and see me.
Absolutely. You're actually going with Chuck E. Cheese, correct?
Yes, I'll be in Hayward, California. I'm not even sure. I know that's pretty near San Jose, in between there and San Francisco somewhere.
There you go. So, and Tim, I don't know the layout of California that much either because I have never been there either. So I'm excited for you. I hope you have a great time there.
I think it's in the central area. So
there you go.
You know, it'd be like somebody coming to Tyler from California. They'd be like, "Where's that?"
Exactly.
You know, probably. So
understood.
Anyway.
So, okay, well, continuing on, you have some other exciting news. When Tim walked in through the door here, he had a piece of paper in his hand, and he said, I'm not going to tell you what it is. We're going to wait for the live show. He still has the piece of paper here. Tim, what is on the piece of paper? I must know.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the presses.
We just found out what games that we're going to be getting new for next month.
So your store is getting a new game package,
yes.
Right?
Yeah, about every 2 years now, they try to rotate some games and also get some new games. I know pretty much it'll be set in stone. There may be a few changes, but I do know some games that I'm getting, and a couple of them I think, and we'll go over them later, I think a couple of them our kind of listeners would really be interested in. Maybe try to bring you back to Chuck E. Cheese sometime.
So let's talk about that for a second. You did tell me you're getting a new game package, but you didn't tell me what games. So the sheet has the games, right?
Yes.
So we know the games. Let's go ahead and go over some of those. What games are you going to be getting in your game package?
Well, what I'm looking forward to the most is a Luigi's Mansion and Cruisin' Blast.
Okay.
And I know some of you have seen those before. Those are two of the neat ones that I'm looking forward to getting to play, of course.
So Cruisin' Blast is the new iteration of Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World, Cruisin' Exotica, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's the new version of it, and it looks really fun. And I know even some of our viewers and Facebook subscribers have them, Tim.
Yeah.
And actually have them on location in their areas. And so if you've played Cruisin' Blast, let us know what you think. Tim, I have not played it myself, but I have seen video, and it does look really cool.
It's a raw thrills game.
Right.
They're always usually really good. Always have a lot of
one of the few
deep games.
Right. I was about to say one of the few like traditional arcade companies kind of left, right?
Yeah, in a way that is. So I'm excited that I'm getting those games. Luigi's Mansion looks really fun too, and I think we're going to get the deluxe version, or what would you say back in the arcade days? You know, like what do you call
Sit
it?
down.
Yeah, well, a big
environmental.
Yeah.
That's
so we're definitely getting. I think we're getting a really big one because I'm losing a big game that I don't care if it goes in. We're gonna get this one. But anytime you get new games, it's always exciting. So I'll be talking about that some. Maybe we'll even shoot some pictures next time.
Sounds good. And you'll have to take some pictures out in California. Let us know what the game and arcades look like out there as well.
For sure, like I said, and if anybody's listening is in that area and you just want to
or watching,
want to come by or say hi or something, that'd be awesome.
There you go. So anybody in the San Jose area, Tim will be there. When was that?
The 9th through the 13th. October 9th through the 13th. So next Monday through Friday.
There we go. So and we'll be excited to hear about your game package as well once you get all the games in. Cruise and Blast, Luigi's Mansion are always two good ones, and hopefully we'll find out more as time progresses here. So, okay, Tim, let's continue on here. Now, we do have the live chat, guys. We mentioned the super chat option is on tonight for the first time, so you guys feel free to use that as well. But we will try to answer every question, Tim, regardless of whether you promote it or not. So you guys can leave stuff all in the chat. We'll try to get to your questions as soon as possible. I'm getting a lot of compliments on my shirt, Tim. I've had this shirt for a long time. We bought these at Hot Topic, like back early 2000s.
Long time ago.
So it's been a while. I don't know if you can find them anymore, but I do love this shirt. It's very near and dear to my heart, Tim. So I keep it around. I wanted to wear it tonight because I just felt like wearing it. So there you go. But Tim, everybody's here to hear us answer the questions.
That's right.
I mean, that's why they come. So let's go ahead and work into that. Again, guys, if you guys have any questions, live chat is open. But we will continue with some of the pre-prepared questions that we have planned for this episode, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back here. The first one, it looks like according to our outline here, Tim, is from Francisco. So let's go ahead and go to that real quick. And Francisco writes, I have a Stargate arcade that was handed down to me from my grandfather that he bought new in the 80s. Okay, Tim, isn't that pretty awesome?
That's really cool.
To have one since, like, new.
A family heirloom
That's
game.
right, exactly.
That's awesome.
So he says, I grew up playing it and now it's mine. The joystick is sloppy. I would like to know how to replace the joystick. Where can I buy a new one from? Also, where can I get new push buttons from? Can I convert to LED buttons? Is that possible? Thank you for your time. Okay, Tim, so we have Francisco here, and it's a fairly interesting question, pretty simple, but basically he wants to replace the joystick. Now, for those people who are not familiar with Stargate, Tim, what is unique about Stargate's joystick? Same thing with Defender.
Well, they just go two directions.
Right, and those two directions are just up and down.
Yeah, right.
So that's something a lot of people may not know if you've never seen these games before. So it's kind of a unique joystick in that way, is that we're only doing two directions. Tim, I know that Galaga had a joystick that only went two directions. There are a couple of games that do, but for the most part, they're kind of rare, right? You don't see them very often. And so finding a two-way joystick sometimes can be a little bit of a trick. So Tim, where would you get your two-way joystick from?
Well, I'm sure there may be a couple people, but we like to recommend Arcade Shop.
Okay.
And they sell a Williams retro kind of, it looks exactly like what's in there.
Replica, right?
A replica, if you want to go for what's in there, that's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Now, I think you got a picture.
I do, and we'll go ahead and throw that up here so you guys can see it. So we'll go outline. So you'll see here that Arcade Shop sells the Williams Tato two-way joystick rebuild kit for around $35. Now, Tim, this is a rebuild kit. This is not a replacement joystick.
Okay.
We assume you have the joystick. This is the rebuild kit for it. So you can get those for around $35 for the rebuild kit, and Tim, I put the link there so he can see them. Now, you also mentioned the replacement leaf switches, which Arcade Shop also sells. Okay. Or you can get like an entire Stargate button set for around $20 from Twisted Quarter. And Tim, I put the link to the Twisted Quarter Stargate button set there. I don't know what the Arcade Shop pricing is on it, but, it's pretty, it should be pretty comparable to what Twisted Quarter has. It's just nice that Twisted Quarter kind of has this pre-made set. Right. That you can get that already has the buttons. And Tim, he also asked about LED leaf switches. And a lot of people may be familiar with the Lightmite LB, which is basically a LED light board that goes underneath like a transparent leaf switch. So if Francisco orders the transparent leaf switches, Tim, then he can put that Lightmite LB board up underneath there, wire it up, and have illuminated LED buttons.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and a lot of people are familiar with it. There may be cheaper options, Tim. There probably are cheaper options. I know if you go with a standard like cherry switch type push button, there are cheaper options.
Yes.
But if you want the identical gameplay, you want the leaf switches, the Lightmite LB is one that's tried and true, very well tested by a lot of different people on different arcade forums, and really does work well.
And somebody is probably going to feel like I do. You're talking about a game that was brand new, that was in your family, that your grandpa actually played. I think it would be cool to keep it as original as possible.
Absolutely.
That's just an opinion. It's your game. You can run rope lights down the side if you want. But I think it would be cool to try to rebuild what's in there. That's why we're going to recommend the arcade shop.
Absolutely, and leaf switches. Leaf switches, you really want the feel to be the same. We like the feel to be the same. In order to keep that feel, Tim, it really has to be the leaf switches, right?
I believe so.
So there you go. So, Francisco, hopefully it answers your questions. Arcade shop will have your buttons, your rebuild kit for your joystick. Plus, they will also have, I think they have the transparent ones as well, Tim. The transparent leaf switches if you want to go the lit route. You can also order those from Twisted Quarter. Either one of those places should have the buttons that you need, and the joystick, again, rebuild kit at arcadeshop.com. Tim, anything else about Francisco's question?
No, I'd like to see it. Show us a picture. That would be cool when you get it all done.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how well it's been kept over all these years.
I'm wondering what the artwork looks like and how it's made, But, of course, you never know. It could have been in a garage or stored somewhere. But so that would be cool to have a picture of it.
Absolutely. So, Francisco, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Stargate back up and running 100%. So, Tim, we have some noise here in the chat, in the live chat. Let's go ahead and talk about those for a minute. Let's see. I see a greetings from Sacramento.
Oh,
so
hey.
somebody is in Sacramento, California. We were speaking about California earlier. We have a hi. Joe Ring, it says, I'm getting ready for baseball playoffs. I'm a huge Cleveland Indians fan. Are you guys baseball fans, and what's your favorite team? I am a pretty die-hard baseball fan, Tim, and I love the Texas Rangers. I live here in Texas. It only makes sense. I am kind of pulling for Houston.
Yeah.
But, Cleveland has a really great team, Joe, so I think you're safe. I have a feeling that I hope that they make it to the World Series. I really do. I'm pulling for Houston just because it's in our Texas team, but I wouldn't mind at all to see Cleveland get in that spot as well. So
we're not big Yankees fans.
No. If you're I always say if you're a fan of any team besides the Yankees, you're not a Yankees fan.
But the Judge is really interesting to watch.
Aaron Judge is really awesome.
Oh my gosh,
so talented guy. Okay, back on Tim. Anyway. Hang on. So let's see.
Yes, we like baseball.
Who's the pick for the playoffs? I'm going to say Cleveland Dodgers World Series.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to say. So there we go.
I'm hoping the Astros get in there, but...
somebody says, hey, Tim, there's a High Scores arcade in Haywire. I'm not sure where Haywire is.
Hayward. I think that's where I'm going.
See, I need... Oh, Hayward. He says Hayward in the next comment.
Okay,
there we go. So there you go. There's an arcade you can visit while you're there. That's pretty cool.
Thank you. I'll be glad. I'll want to check that out while I'm there.
Okay. Warlord Psycho, we actually have your question on the outline. He asked it again here in the live chat, Tim, but we actually have it in the outline, so we're going to wait a little bit to get to that, okay? But we have your question. It will be coming up here later in the show. And Tim, I think that's about it for now in the live chat. So we're going to continue on, guys, with our pre-prepared questions. And the next one we have is from Jeffrey. And Tim, I'm going to go ahead and show this. He says, I have attached a video to this message. I have tried everything, but can't fix this issue. I need to know if I need a new monitor or something else. It's for a Super Pac-Man game. Okay, so here we go here, Tim. Now, there is a video link, but I'm not going to really show it because all it shows really is what we have in the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and show the picture here. But, Tim, this is the picture he's getting, as you can see right here on the left-hand side of the screen. But basically, Tim, it's a lot of flipping, like we have a hold issue, and also it's very blurry and very bright. And so, Tim, you'll see what I read here. From the video, it looks like your monitor may be experiencing a hold issue. Could be an issue with the vertical hold. More than likely, it's the horizontal hold that needs adjusting. Just depends on monitor orientation and things and the way it's flipping. But you might also have an issue with your brightness and focus adjustments since the text is so hard to read. Right, Tim?
Now, did he say what kind of monitor that he had?
Unfortunately, he did not. The only picture we have, or the only thing that the video shows is basically this screen kind of flipping, okay? So we don't know exactly what kind of monitor he has. But, Tim, I know you
25-inch, right?
Actually, I think it's a 19 because it's a Super Pac-Man.
Oh, I got you.
So a Super Pac-Man typically was 19, could be a 25. But typically was a 19. Now, Tim, he could have a tube issue. Okay, the tube could be bad. I mean, my mispack back here, the tube is a little rough on, and it's kind of blurry, and sometimes it gets to a little brightness. But a lot of times these can be fixed, Tim, just by making some simple adjustments, right?
Yes.
And so he may just need to make some simple adjustments. If he makes those adjustments, or if he tries the horizontal vertical hold, tries the brightness, tries the focus, and he still can't get the monitor locked in, then you may have an issue with something a part on your monitor. It's very possible. And so at that point, you need to contact us, let us know what kind of monitor chassis you have, and also let us know, any other additional information we may need to help you out with your issue. So, Tim, do you have any other thoughts about Jeffrey's issue here?
Well, just to rule out that it is a board issue, you should be playing. You should hear it and play it and should be fine. If it's playing blind, you're getting this kind of picture, then yes, you probably have a monitor issue.
Yeah.
We're going to almost bet on it.
Right, and that's what it looks like. And, Tim, sometimes with focus issues, you may need to replace a flyback. You know, if you're having a hard time focusing, if you're having a hard time holding, like getting the hold to lock in, you may need to replace either the potentiometer for the hold or different parts on the monitor, depending on which kind of monitor chassis you have. So there are some things, but adjusting the monitor, Tim, should always be the first thing that we recommend on things like this, right?
For sure.
And so that's why we put the link down here. And Jeffrey, I'm going to show that again. We have our video on adjusting an arcade monitor down at the bottom that you definitely need to check out if you haven't already. And try all of those adjustments, and then if you still have the problem, get back to us and let us know what let us know what issue you're continuing to have past that point. So Jeffrey, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Super Pac-Man monitor locked back in. Okay, Tim, let's continue on here. I see a hello from Florida.
Hello.
So, hi there. So that's Mofasta. Mofasta? Did I say that right?
Sounds close enough.
There you go. Okay, here's another one. Is there anywhere legit I can check out my Pac-Man board, maybe resolder? Is there anywhere legit I can check out my Pac-Man board? So who would you recommend for Pac-Man board repairs, Tim, if somebody just wants to send it in for repair?
Well, there's several people. Eldorado Games.
Eldorado Games is
one of my favorite to
for
recommend.
older boards like this, Electron Forge.
Yes.
Tim, we've actually done several times. And here's the thing too. Who was that asked that question? I gotta look. NXS13. NXS13, there is a list of board repair guys on our website.
Yes.
Under the resources page. If you go to arcaderepairtips.com/resources, there's a board repair section that you can go to that has a list of board repair people. So if you're looking to send it off, that may be the place to look. So.
And if they made our list, it means we have used them in the past and we have had good results.
Absolutely. Now, on Pac-Man boards, Tim, they're pretty simplistic, and the nice thing is that there's a ton of documentation out there on them. And you may want to check out the Lawnmower Man Pac-Man page, the Arcade Game Over Pac-Man page that shows the different screens you may be getting with your Pac-Man, and reflowing the solder, Tim, never a bad idea.
Yes.
Okay, and definitely something you should do if you suspect certain solder joints to be old and crusty. So,
agreed.
Absolutely. So there we go. Okay, let's continue out here. Let's see. I'm just looking through the stuff here. Michael Bloom says, if I can find it, my Golden T99 adjusted inside the coin door or in the Odyx settings. Oh, okay. Oh, he's talking to somebody else there, Tim. I'm reading too many things. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Okay, yeah. We'll continue on. Okay, let's move on here. And the next question we have is from Shedward. Tim.
Okay.
So Shedward. And he says, hello, my Street Fighter 2 arcade game is scrolling like mad and won't stop. It was intermittent where it was fast and then slow, and then it would be okay, and then repeat the crazy intermittent process. Now it just seems to be scrolling very quickly and won't stop. In the past, if I hit the side of the cabinet, it would fix it from time to time. Do you think this is a solder fix? Note, I do not see any dials or knobs for vertical hold. I do see several white knobs, but they don't help with the vertical hold. And Tim, he sent some pictures here.
Okay.
And you'll see this first one here. You can actually see the scrolling in. Okay. And then you see in this next one here, we see the back of the cabinet with the chassis. And Tim, you can't really see a good picture of the chassis, but we were able to determine it's a Geo 7.
That's what it looks like.
And yeah, it's hard to see. I know it's kind of tiny on your screen right now if you guys are watching on YouTube. But yeah, it is kind of tiny there, but it does look like a Geo 7. So Tim, we have a Geo 7 monitor that's just scrolling, and he can't lock it in. But somehow, miraculously, when he hits the side of the cabinet, it'll stop sometimes. So what do you think's going on here with Shedward Street Fighter 2 and Geo 7 combination?
It's kind of the weird Street Fighter game that you actually have to fight it to get it to work.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right. You have to punch. You have to punch it.
Yeah.
And boom.
In a certain way, or hit it in the sweet spot. Now I've done that, so I know what he's talking about there. There are some adjustments on a Geo 7, and some of them aren't as easy as some. We show in a video adjustment board, and so maybe when we did a Geo 7 monitor, we might have not have went into all the details.
Well, and another thing, Tim, is that we do have a video that's kind of, I guess I wouldn't say rare, but it's rarely watched. How about that? On adjusting potentiometers without a knob. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, barely.
I mean, it's been a long time since we did that one, but there is a video that we have on adjusting potentiometers without a knob. Because, Tim, not all potentiometers have a knob.
Right. Got like 5 plays.
Exactly. Right. So what you have to do is you actually have to use either a screwdriver or a TV alignment tool or something like that to make the adjustment. And so in Shedward's case here with the Geo 7, Tim, and from that picture he says, it does look like he's going to need to adjust those with a screwdriver, may not be able to adjust them with with just his fingers like we do on our knobs.
Right.
Like you said. So the adjusting an arcade monitor video is great, but it does not show how to adjust them if they don't have a knob on them. And he says he doesn't see, and the reason I'm saying that is because he doesn't see any dials or knobs for vertical hold. He may not realize what those knobs are.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
And he's right. It could be a solder fix, but it's probably around those areas.
Exactly.
So, we talk about this a lot, guys. Every time I ever saw Michael repair a board, he would pick it up and just start touching up the solder everywhere, all over the board. And so that's always not a bad idea. But I want to go ahead and bring up the picture, Jonathan. We brought a picture of a kind of a blown up picture of the Geo 7.
And this is from the real Bob Roberts.
Okay.
One of our favorite guys. Unfortunately, Bob is still not shipping parts right now, which we're really sad about. But hopefully he'll pick back up soon. But Tim, he still has a great amount of information on his website. TheRealBobRoberts.net, if you guys haven't been there. Great stuff. But Tim, this is a picture of a Geo 7 chassis with all of the adjustments and where they're at.
Right.
And you'll see kind of in the bottom, right at the bottom of the monitor chassis, on the left side, you'll see one that says V-Hold.
Yes.
Okay, and so if you adjust that one, that should help a little bit with the hold issue that we're having. And Tim, we actually put that the vertical hold potentiometer should be the first one you see on the left-hand side next to where the power cord comes into the chassis. But Tim, if you're looking for a knob, you're not going to find one. This one does not have a knob. You'll need to adjust it with a screwdriver. Now, Tim, if you can't get to lock in, you may have an issue with some parts on your chassis. And Tim, a lot of people know that if you're having picture stability issues or sync issues, that transistors X302, X306 along with IC501, make sure you check all of those. Those are the most common areas where we have sync/hold failures. And so check those parts, make sure that they're working. And Tim, not just that they're working, but that they are the correct values. Because, sometimes you'll get a value, but just because you get a value doesn't mean it's the correct value. That's very important. And you may need to replace the potentiometer as well, Tim, like we talked about. Sometimes potentiometers go bad and you can't, once they do, they won't register. And Tim, we have a video on checking potentiometers with a multimeter, and that way you'll know if it actually is getting the entire range that it's supposed to be getting. If you turn that knob and you're not getting any change, then that knob is worthless to you, right?
Yes.
And so you may need to replace that.
Yeah, a lot of times the legs will break on those or something like that.
Or the legs will break, solder points will become loose, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, Geo 7 probably one of the easiest chassis to cap too.
Absolutely.
Just to go ahead and cap it and then check all you're doing a lot of soldering while you're capping one, then you just got a few other areas to kind of touch up.
Sounds good. So Shedward, hopefully answers your question. Good luck getting that Street Fighter 2 back in sync and hold, Tim. And I think with all the tips that we gave you, you should be back in business in no time. So, okay, Tim, checking back over here. Let's see here. We've got hello from France.
Oh, wow.
Toulouse. I hope I said that right. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at
Bonjour.
That's right. That's right. So bonjour. So we've got somebody from France in here. That's really awesome. What time is it in France? Aren't they like 7 or 8 hours ahead of us?
It's pretty late there.
Yeah. So it's early in the morning. In the morning, right?
Maybe he's having his coffee.
There you go. Hey, if he's watching this with his coffee, good morning. If you're in France, I guess. So and hopefully this video finds you well. So
yes.
There we go. Okay, Tim, I don't see any more questions here in the chat, so let's continue on here with the pre-prepared questions. And the next one we have, Tim, is from Pat. And let's continue on to here. Hi, I have a Sega Zaxxon yesterday, or I got a Sega Zaxxon yesterday with no picture. I put in a test monitor from my bomb jack, which was a Zaxxon originally. The picture was upside down, so I turned the monitor over and thought it would be good. But when I press the 2-player now, the second player is upside down. What should I do? I tried the cocktail mode dip switch 1, pin 8, but that did nothing. Okay, Tim, so we have Sega Zaxxon here, and Zaxxon is a very popular game. I like Zaxxon. It's a good game to play. But here's the deal, is like the original monitor didn't work, it sounds like. Okay, so he thought, I'll just throw one of these test monitors I have in there and get it working, right? Which he did. He had to turn it over, but he got it working. But now, whenever the second player comes up, the whole screen rotates.
Right.
Okay, and he tried the cocktail mode dip switch, but it did nothing. So,
which is what we would have, first thing we would have recommended.
Exactly. So what is Pat doing wrong? Why is he getting this rotation with the second player on his Zaxxon?
Well, two things that could cause that. Number one is, remember when you change a dip switch, you must turn the game off. If you do it with the game on, it's actually not going to change most of the time.
Right.
So you have to turn the game off, flick it back, and then back on, then do it again.
And Tim, for those people who want to know more about that, we do have a video on adjusting dip switches.
Yes.
Okay, so look up our video on adjusting dip switches. It will tell you need to turn off the game before you make the adjustment.
The next problem is Zaxxon was a really popular game when it came out, and I have seen at least 3 or 4 different board sets for that.
Sure.
And they don't all have the same dip switch settings.
I know, it's hard to say fast. Dip switch settings.
Kind of a tongue twister. So, if you want to go ahead and bring the screen up, Jonathan, what we're going to recommend is that you may have to play with your dip switches. It might not be the one you think it is.
Right.
So you're not going to hurt anything by turning them off and on. It may change the value. Just do them one at a time. But the most common cocktail dip switch setting seems to be dip 1 pin 8.
Right, exactly, which is the one that he tried already.
Right.
And so that's why we found some other dip switch things, Tim. We've also found it dip 1 pin 6.
Exactly.
Okay?
So I'm going to guess that it's probably in the dip 1 switches.
Right.
So just try them one at a time, see what kind of changes are in your game, and maybe that'll fix it. That's my best guess.
So, Tim, let me ask you a question real quick. Have you ever had a dip switch bank go bad?
You know, oddly enough, yes, but it's normally not the whole bank. That would be more like a trace or something, or
Sure.
a ground going to the bank.
Right.
But I have had a dip switch on that bank just go. Basically, there are little gates in there, and they're
Sure.
opening and closing, creating continuity. And I have seen that go bad. And I remember I was stumped. I believe it was a cruising or something. And a long time ago, and I finally ended up just replacing the whole bank of dip switches, and it fixed the problem. So I have seen that. It was very rare.
Right.
Very rare.
Well, and I only bring it up because he already tried the dip switch, but I know that there could be another dip switch that also controls that setting, but it could also be a bad bank.
And I almost want to say the one I tried to repair even looked like somebody had hit it with a hammer or something. You know, it was like it was cracking and stuff. It just really looked like it needed repair.
Golly.
That's just my guess.
Okay, well, it is possible. So you may need to replace the entire bank of dip switches here, Pat. I mean, it just really depends. But try some of the other dip switches before we do that. And Tim, like we mentioned on the outline here, I'll throw it back up. Dip 1 pin 6 is also very common. And Tim, we found about, like you said, 3 or 4 different board sets that all have different dip switch settings for the cocktail cabinets. So that's something to think about. So anyway, Pat, try some of the different dip switches and maybe look at some of the different manuals for the game and see if maybe trying a different dip switch doesn't give you a different result. Right.
You're not going to hurt anything.
Right.
Just make sure you turn the game off. Switch
Switch
one
it
at a time. See what it does. I mean, I've literally had to do that a dozen or more times. Couldn't find the dip switch settings. Had some kind of bootleg board. That's how you figure it out.
There you go. So Pat, hopefully answers your question, and good luck with the cocktail mode. And Tim, I mean, you could always kind of fake that too if you wanted to. Like, I mean, if you need to turn that one on or off, you could. I guess if you need to turn it on, you could always just kind of bridge the connection if you wanted to.
Yes.
And that's one way to do it. If you need to turn it on. In this case,
Correct.
you may need to turn it off. So it just really depends. But Pat, yeah, check the dip switch settings. Try some of the other dip switches in that bank. See if you can find one that is compatible or that may be controlling that cocktail mode. And then if you can't, might be worth taking a look at the entire bank or doing some testing, Tim, to see if it changes whenever you do flip the switch.
For sure.
So there you go. Hopefully answers your question, Bat, and good luck getting that Zaxxon back working properly. I mean, it's really hard for a second player to play upside down, right, Tim?
Yeah.
Unless you're on a cocktail table, you're probably going to have some difficulty with
Right.
it. So there
I mean,
you go.
your last resort, put it in a cocktail game. I don't know.
There you go. So, but good luck with that Zaxxon repair. And Tim, we got a response here, and it looks like from Orionus 84. He says, it is 1 a.m. in France.
Okay.
It is 1 a.m. in France. I learned so much things with you guys. Thanks.
Oh,
you're too
welcome.
kind. That was very nice. So thank you for that comment. And then, hi from Delaware. Just got my Monte Carlo running again. Asteroids went down. It never ends. You're right. It never ends. You know, look, if you're going to own any significant amount of arcade games, Tim, you better figure out how to repair them, because more than likely at some point you will have to do a repair, right?
For sure.
Absolutely. So there you go. And
always right before a party.
That is correct. It's always right before a party. Everything breaks down.
If all your games are working, just say you're going to throw a party and one or two of them will decide they're going to not work anymore.
That's exactly correct. So, and then we have Soniku Brat says, and Zaxxon is awesome.
Yeah,
and he's
it is.
right. It is awesome. It's a great game. I love Zaxxon. A great game. So if you haven't played it before, highly recommend it. Find your, play it on, they have little handheld joystick things, Tim, that you can get it on, all sorts of stuff. You can buy it on some of the new modern consoles too.
A great question from Pat, so I hope that he gets that fixed, and let us know if it ends up being something different for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Tim, let's move to Emmanuel. And he writes, hello, I recently acquired a 4-slot Neo Geo arcade and purchased an adapter that turns the wiring to standard JAMMA. I tried hooking up a Pandora's box, which should be JAMMA compatible, but I'm getting no video, a repeated noise, and a blinking red light from within the box. Just to rule off the adapter, I temporarily hooked up the Pandora's box directly to the cabinet and got the same results. So I plugged the harness back to my Neo Geo MVS and everything works fine. Am I doing something wrong, or is the box possibly defective? Now, Tim, these Pandora's box boards are very popular, okay?
Yes.
And because, for a couple of reasons, they play a lot of games, and they're relatively cheap if you order them from China, you know, I mean, or from Asian countries. I mean, you can get them very, very cheap. And so, Tim, you know what they say about things that are cheap, though.
Right.
You know, quality-wise,
you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. It may be lacking, and so sometimes these Pandora's box boards, Tim, are not the best quality, and they can have issues.
Okay.
And so, you know, we'll go ahead and go over some things real quick, just to throw some stuff out here. But the first thing I would recommend, Tim, is maybe checking with the guy you bought it from, and see if he can do an advanced replacement with you. Like, go ahead and send you another board. You send that one back to him. And Tim, this is one of the reasons why we encourage people to buy from people they know, to buy multi-game boards from reputable people, we'll say like that, because a lot of times the return policy is is a lot better. I mean, usually much better customer service from somebody here versus somebody overseas that's selling the boards, okay?
Maybe
and so, I mean, I think so, most of the time anyway. So, but maybe you bought it from AliExpress.com or somewhere, Tim. You bought it from a third party. You may try contacting that third party to see if they can give you a replacement on the board. But Tim...
It does have a VGA output, though, right?
It does.
So I would hook it up to a VGA to a computer monitor or something just to see if the board itself actually works.
And Tim, we talk about that in our slide here. So let's talk about that. From your description, it sounds like you may have a bad Pandora's box board, but there are a couple of things you may want to check first. And Tim, some versions of the Pandora's box board only support VGA and HDMI output and not the JAMA video output. I've seen this before. The newer versions seem to support everything, but there are older versions of the board that don't support as much. So, like you said, try hooking up a TV or a computer monitor. You might need to adjust the dip switch on the board to change which version you're outputting. So, if your board's currently set to VGA, Tim, and you want it to go to the JAMA output, you may need to change a dip switch, like we talked about in the last question, in order to get it to swap which output it's using.
Right, and the only one I've ever hooked up gave me a lot of problems because I didn't cut the ground wire that went to pin 27.
Right, which we'll show here, Tim. And a lot of people know that JAMA is 28 pins, Tim. So pin 27 is the second to last pin on the JAMA harness.
Normally a ground.
Right, normally a ground. Even in Neo Geo, I believe, Tim, it's a ground. But with Pandora's box boards, because they don't want to throw in a kick harness, they wire pin 6 up to that, or they wire your player 1 and 2 button 6 up to that pin 27 or E position on the harness. And Tim, a lot of times when that button is being basically depressed all the time, it can cause errors with your board. And so you may need to cut that ground wire and then try hooking it up to see if that's causing the issue. Okay? If you're going to use that in your cabinet, you probably need to do that anyway. But the problem with the manual here is he sounds like he wants to switch back and forth between the Neo Geo and the Pandora's box board.
I see.
And if he wants to do that, you may need to get a different adapter that doesn't have that pin 27 hooked up to the ground.
Sounds so reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. So, I mean, you may need a different adapter. But, Tim, I think the first thing to try is kind of what you mentioned. Let's hook up a computer monitor to it and see if it outputs.
Yeah.
Because if it does, then we know that the board is probably working fine, but it's really like either a dip switch setting or something in our monitor that's causing the issue. If it doesn't output, Tim, then we may just have a board issue altogether. May try clipping that pin 27 ground on your harness just to see if that helps. But overall, Tim, I think at that point you can almost safely assume a board issue.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, these things are cheaply made, right? They're kind of cheaply made, so for the most part, you may want to just ask the distributor or whoever you got it from to see if they'll do a refund or replacement with you. So, Emmanuel, hopefully that answers your question. Good luck getting that Neo Geo 4-slot cabinet working with a Pandora's box board. Hopefully it's nothing major and something that you can easily overcome. Okay, Tim, I'm going to check back over here. Let's see. I just see some good troubleshooting. I see you guys help a lot. Love that. Good stuff. Great stuff. Remember, you guys can send questions.
Right.
You can send questions. We got one question. It's about baseball.
Okay.
So except for the one that we're going to cover here in a minute with Warlord Psycho. So we'll get to that in a second. Tim, I just remembered something though. People are complimenting my shirt. There's a back to it. And I forgot to show it.
The back.
I should show the back. Do you see it right here? Are we good?
Yeah. Go that way.
This way.
There we go.
Am I good? Like
yeah.
that? Okay, there we go. So there's the back to it.
for operation by certified Nintendo experts only.
There you go. So there you go. I love this shirt. And Tim, we both had one at one point, and I think we're gonna get our names like up here, you know, like car repair guys, you know. But I never got around to that. Maybe one of these days we'll get a little John up here or something like that. But love this shirt, great stuff. So, but Tim, no more live chat questions, so we will continue on with the prepared questions. And the next one we have is from Skylar. And Skylar says, hello, first off I want to thank you for all the helpful videos and tips, and I come asking a question. I picked up an original Miss Pac-Man. At the time of purchase it played blind. Everything worked but the screen. I transported it home, plugged it in, and the screen came on, which surprised me. I was even able to play a few games. I shut down the system and removed the back to check the cleanliness, and that's when I found years worth of dirt, dust, and grime coating the inside. I used a paintbrush and a vacuum to clean the board, CRT tube, power supply, and the inside of the cabinet. Then I turned it back on and it started playing blind again with no net glow. My guess is that when I transported it, some dust made the connection I needed, and then I cleaned it away. This is my first game I've had to repair. I've taken some voltage readings and they all look good on the transformers. I'm not sure if the connector voltages are within range or not, but if I unplug the Pac-Man board and turn the game on, I get net glow and screen flickers a little bit. I plug it back in and I can hear it trying to start up. I hear hum, but no net glow. I am in need of help and don't know where even to start. I've got a troubleshooting repair background from 15 years in the military, or in military service as a technician, but these games and their logic is a bit new to me. Not sure where to go. Thank you. Okay, Tim, so we have Skylar, and the first thing I want to say is thank you for your military service. That's pretty awesome. Technician for 15 years, that's a long time in the military. And Tim, you learn a lot about electronics, but maybe not electronics this old.
Right.
Or maybe vice versa, just depending. So, but yeah, the games are a little bit different, though, Tim, than even any other electronics that you're going to encounter. And so, Tim, he's got a Miss Pac-Man, bought it playing blind, got it home, it worked, he cleaned it, playing blind. And so I mean,
never clean. The dust was holding it together.
The dust, and that was what he was assuming. The dust was holding it together. There you go. And so with that in mind, Tim, what can Skylar do to get this game working again? It sounds like it will work if the right conditions are met. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, it sounds like that. Well, there's a couple things that you know, there's a difference in playing blind and not playing at all.
Right.
In other words, is it playing blind like it's still playing, but his monitor's kind of going in and out, and that's what it sounds like, right? So that's when you can really check all your connections. Your neck board on your monitor is very key here.
Right.
Also, where the video comes in from your game, make sure that all that is good. You can reflow the solder on the back of both of those, and that may help. It could be your power supply going out and stuff. So
right, because he says he tested
checked at the transformer,
but not at the harness.
But not at the harness is where we're going to recommend that. What are you actually getting at your board? In other words, what I like to do is when the game goes out, then I go over there and start checking the voltage. And see if the voltage is good there and it's still playing blind, then you know you still got something wrong with your monitor. And that's where he can watch some of our videos about, you know, it may be time to just totally rebuild the power on it. Put a new cap kit and maybe a flyback or something if you want to keep it, which I'm sure he would be a good time to just totally rebuild the chassis.
Right. And so, Tim, the reason why, you know, I understand why you said that. The reason why we're talking about playing blind versus not is because he says when he unplugs the board, he gets a white screen.
Right.
But we don't know, is that white screen intermittent? Like, is he actually getting monitor? Is he not? When the game is off, does it still play? And that's really what we need to know, right?
You know, when I was really new starting out, one of the first games I had was a Miss Pac-Man. It's like you had to really push the harness down, and I've seen a lot of those been repaired on the edge connectors and stuff.
A lot of that has to do with the AC voltage, Tim.
Yes.
You know, Miss Pac-Man originally used, 7 and 12 volts AC, and then there was a voltage converter on the board that would actually convert that to DC voltage for the rest of the game. Now, Tim, we have switching power supplies that handle that kind of work. But back then, it was cheaper, I guess, to build the voltage regulation on the board than it was to actually put a voltage regulator board in there.
So sometimes you have to repair those finger boards, and I don't know if we've ever done a video on that, but you can buy Pac-Man kits and stuff like that. Exactly. But he may want to look at a switching power supply also. That's one of those games where I don't normally recommend keeping what's in the Pac-Man game. I normally recommend putting a switcher in.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the slide here, Tim. And like you talked about, there's a difference between playing blind and not playing at all. Playing blind means we can hear the game, but we don't have a picture.
Right.
Okay, so he needs to determine, Tim, I really think he does, whether or not his game is playing blind. Or when it goes out, is it just not playing? I mean, that's a difference. Not playing or playing blind, two different things. So if the game is playing blind, like you mentioned, it's almost always related to a monitor issue.
Yes.
Almost always.
Almost always.
90%, 95%, something like that. In this case, you might want to try touching up the solder on your chassis, like you mentioned, Tim. Let's touch up the solder on the chassis, all the different solder points, because, Tim, if there was a cold solder joint that was making that connection sometimes, wasn't others, then touching up the solder hopefully will make that connection solid. That's what we're looking for. Now, from the description, though, since we don't really know if it's playing blind, it could be a problem with either the power supply or the board. Check the voltage at the harness, which he says he neglected to do. There's pinouts. You can find Miss Pac-Man pinouts, Tim. They're available, so you can get them. And then switching power supply may be an option for you, okay? Because that really does take a lot of burden off the board and ensures better power flow to the main board itself, right?
Yes.
And so, like, in some games, we don't recommend going with switching power supplies. And Tim, like Williams games is a great example.
Yes.
We don't recommend those in those particular games. But in Miss Pac-Man, Tim, in Pac-Man cabinets, switching power supply, I think, is a better way to go.
I do too, and what concerns me is when he says he unplugs the harness and the monitor gets net glow.
Right.
See, it's almost like something's going on with the board video.
Exactly.
Or draining something there. So.
Or voltage issue and the board's not booting.
Exactly.
Like we talked about.
So that's kind of where I'm leaning on this particular instance.
Yeah. So, well, I think we gave him enough to think about, Tim. And really, Skylar, what it comes down to is: are you playing blind or are you not playing?
Right.
I mean, what are you doing? And then going from there. If you're playing blind, let's try the monitor chassis. Let's try to do all the repair to that. If you're not playing at all, let's check voltages. Let's check the board. Let's see if we can get that working.
Right.
So, Skylar, hopefully answers your question. Good luck getting that Miss Pac-Man back up and running. And Tim, I'm sure he was very optimistic when he got it home and it started playing.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome. You buy something playing blind, you got it home, it works. So usually you move games when they break.
Right.
He moved a game and it worked for a little bit.
He just had to clean it.
He just had to clean it. That's it. It is what it is. So there you go. Skylar, hopefully answered your question. Good luck with your Miss Pac-Man machine repair. Okay, Tim. I'm looking back at the chat room here. I'm not seeing anything in particular. I do see John says, I love the show.
Oh, hey,
thanks
John.
for being here, John. We're glad you love the show. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you for everybody who's here in the chat. And remember, you guys can ask us questions. We're here. They don't have to be arcade related. We'll take any questions. We took a baseball question earlier in the show if you weren't here. Right? So we'll take any questions, regardless of how they are. And remember, Tim, we also have the super chat function that you can basically donate to have your question at the top of the feed for a certain amount of time if you want to do that. So, okay, Tim, we know that Warlord Psycho was in the chat earlier.
Yes.
So, Warlord Psycho, if you're still here, your question is up right now. So, Tim, let's get to his question real quick. He says, I'm looking for some help on my JAMA board for Golden Tee 97 arcade model. The volume was not hooked up, and as I tried to hook it up, I have no volume pot to adjust it. When I hooked it up direct to the speaker in the cabinet, it's full blast. A wiring diagram or any help would be appreciated. Thank you. Now, Tim, I think Michael, who was in the chat earlier, mentioned that you should be able to change the volume from the test mode. Okay, so that's one way you could handle it. The problem is that getting to the test mode might blow your eardrums out if it's really loud, right? And so one way you could handle this is that you can basically change it in the test mode. So if you get into the test mode for your Golden Tee 97 board, there may be an option for volume in there. Not 100% for sure, Tim. It's been a while since I've seen a Golden Tee 97, but you may be able to change the volume in the test mode.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, Tim, the other thing he could do is what?
Is to he may have his potentiometer wired up wrong,
or he may not have a potentiometer at all.
Right.
I mean, it didn't.
So we could add a potentiometer in line.
Right.
In the line of right
between the board and the
speakers.
speaker. Right, exactly.
So it's real simple to do.
Okay, so here's the thing. We actually have a slide here that's going to show you. Now, Tim, a lot of people who have seen our most recent video on assembling a cocktail cabinet may have noticed that we actually wire one of these up in that video.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen it, that would help too.
Right, and the one that we wire up is from Holland Computers. And it's a 25 ohm 3 watt volume potentiometer / rheostat. And Tim, it really doesn't require any soldering. You can hook it up yourself. You know, with just some clip wires and little terminals.
Yes.
You just hook the terminals
up.
Quick
disconnects.
Right, exactly. Quick disconnects, and it's $15.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have the diagram. And Tim, I put the diagram over here. Right here, you'll see it on the left side. But basically, you can hook that up just like that, and that rheostat will allow you to control the volume. And there's a little plastic knob that goes over that rheostat, Tim, that you can put on there that gives it more of a volume-like look to it. So, I mean, that's something that you can do. And we show the installation of this exact pot, Tim, on our video on assembling a cocktail cabinet. And that URL right there, Tim, will take you exactly to the point in the video where that's done. Yeah. The 1 hour and 1 hour, 5 minute, and 22 second mark. You can actually see it in the URL there. So you can see us wire it up. And then you can purchase it at the following link. Tim, we put a link there from Holland Computers. But Tim, you can also buy, I mean, it really just depends on how much what do you call it?
The ohms,
right? The ohms just depends on how much of difference you want. Like I don't know if the Holland Computer ones let you turn it all the way down. I don't think it does. It lets you turn the volume significantly down, but it doesn't put it to 0.
Okay.
So you may want to buy a different ohm pod just depending. But I mean, all you have to do is basically do this now. And Tim, you could also put like you see people put like little resistors over between the leads that will cut that as well. You could do that, but really, Tim, a potentiometer, that's what it's made for, is to help you adjust things like volume. And so the Holland Computers one, Tim, we really liked. I mean, it was very simple to hook up, no problems at all. And Tim, as you can see, basically you just hook the the speaker minus, speaker plus, and then the JAMA minus and JAMA plus speakers up to this rheostat, and it'll let you modify it as you need to. So. But that's really handy. And Tim, this is something we should probably do a video on. I know we have it in that video, but it's probably something that we should actually do an actual video on, because a lot of people ask about how to adjust the volume in their arcade cabinets.
Yes.
So, let's see. Since Warlord Psycho's here, if you have any other questions about this while we go on with the show, let us know and we'll try to answer them. He says, I did the test mode and no change in volume. It's always loud, and I want to add a pot control.
There you go.
In this particular case, I think that's going to work. And Tim will put it up one more time here and just show it to you. Take a screenshot of it. I think that's what other people usually do. But you also come back and look at it at this particular point in the video. But Tim, I mean, for $15, you can basically add a nice volume pod to your game and not have to worry about too much messy soldering or anything like that.
Yeah, and a good price.
Yeah, exactly. $2 for the volume knob cover. And Tim, you can actually drill a hole in your game, put the rheostat through, put the volume knob on, and it looks great.
Right.
Just like it does on the Cocktail.
Yeah, and if you're not, you can put it down where your test and service buttons are, or you can put it underneath your control panel, or I've seen people put them on top of their game where nobody else really knows where it is.
Put it inside your game with your test mode buttons, like you mentioned, stuff like that. Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a lot of different options for that. And Tim, we may actually, and he says, how many leads to the volume pot? And you'll see here that there's 3 different prongs here, and you can see how they're wired up.
1, 2, and 3.
Right, there's 1, 2, and 3, and so you can see how they're wired up here. And Tim, this picture is bigger on the Holland Computers website. You can actually see it a little bit better than you can here. But, I mean, I'm going to get real close here. You can see that, the JAMA speaker minus, it looks like, goes to the, to the left, and you have speaker minus on the middle, and then you have speaker plus and JAMA speaker plus, I think, go to the same one.
Okay.
And so, yeah, if you wire it up like that, I mean, that's all you have to do. And then put the speaker ones to the speaker. JAMA ones come from your JAMA harness or whatever game that you're using. In Golden Tee's case, it is JAMA.
Right.
So you would have JAMA speaker leads coming there. And so, yeah, and pretty much every potentiometer that you're going to get like this is going to be wired the same way.
Right. And if you can't see this very good, you can go to their website.
Right. That URL at the bottom, the bit.ly/HC-arcade-volume will take you directly to there. And it does have the same diagram on their site in better detail. A bigger version of it. This is the small version comparatively. So, but yeah, that should and like I said, it's something that we get asked a lot. So Tim, it's probably something we should do a video on at some point and just kind of focus on that piece of it.
Probably so.
And I have one over here somewhere that I actually bought, I think, to do a video at some point, but we just never got around to it. So at some point, hopefully, we can do a video on that and you guys can see it. But yeah, if you go to the Holland Computers website, look up that volume potentiometer. They'll have that diagram a little bit bigger there, Warlord Psycho, so you can see it a little bit better. So, yeah. But if you have anything else, let us know. You'll be in the live chat, and we'll try to address it at that point. But hopefully answers your question. And putting that volume potentiometer in should do the job as far as the volume is concerned, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So there we go.
Work.
Okay.
It will definitely help.
There you go. Okay, Tim, let's move to Randy. And Randy says, hi, I'm not sure... excuse me. Hi, I'm not sure if you are still in the arcade repair advice business, but I'm hoping you can at least offer some direction. If you have a video or other product I can purchase in support of your efforts, I'm all in for that. So here's my issue. I have an Area 51 maximum force machine. Everything has worked well for quite a while, and then the power supply started going bad. That was easy enough fix. Following that, the monitor started acting up, sometimes not coming on. So currently, if you turn the machine on, the processor turns on, there's a blink of light indicating the monitor got some signal, but the screen does not come up, although the game is clearly on. If I make multiple attempts to turn it on, it will fully kick on about the 3rd or 4th attempt. This will last a bit, and then the monitor will go dark in mid-game. A tap on the case will bring the image back quickly. This behavior is intermittent without any particular timing. Obviously, my first thought is adjusting the power supply, so any directions in diagnosis and repair would be appreciated. Thank you for your time. Okay, Tim, so we have Randy here, and Randy basically has a Maximum Force Area 51 combo. And Tim, this is a light gun game, and a lot of these games that are dual like this that use hard drives use a lot of voltage. And so it's not uncommon for power supplies to go out, and his did. But now there's a different problem. We're having a problem with the screen going dark mid-game. Okay, so first off, are these two problems related? Like, is the power supply going out, replacing it, and now he's having the problem? Is that really related, or is it not?
Well, it could be.
Okay.
But it does sound more like he's having a problem with his monitor chassis now.
So it could have been something that just happened to surface when the power supply went out.
Also, you may notice that most of those have a heftier power supply in them now.
Yeah, the
higher
ATX,
wattage, ATX, computer-looking power supply in there. So make sure that, if you just throw a low amp power supply in there, sometimes they don't work very good in those games that, like you said, pull a lot of amps.
Right.
Is what they're doing. They're really not so much voltage, they're pulling a lot of more amps.
Right.
So I would start off by removing the monitor chassis and touching up the solder, because it is kind of intermittent. Sounds like what we talked about earlier.
Right, exactly. When we get the bang.
He doesn't have a Mortal Kombat, which is not as fun karate chopping.
That's right.
You're supposed
you
to
take
shoot
the gun and you just kind of jab it,
I guess
right?
so,
Whatever
but
it is.
you got to pistol whip it.
Pistol whip
But anyway, rebuilding the chassis would probably be I would do right off the bat. I would go through there and rebuild it.
Yeah, and the fact that it works and then it goes dim and then he hits it and it works again. I mean, Tim, that's a pretty dead giveaway that we're probably got something on the monitor chassis that's not working properly.
Yeah,
right?
and it also sounds like after a while it goes dim. So it's not quite, some of his filter caps and those things are just not producing like they should. So that may help him by recapping it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and go here. It sounds like you may be having some issues with your monitor chassis, specifically in the power supply section, right, Tim?
Yes.
Okay, so start off by removing the monitor chassis and touching up the solder in any areas that look suspicious. Cold, cracked, or broken. The CCB, Tim, as I like to call it. Cracked, cold, and broken. Tim, and these are really easy to find. You'll see little holes like in the solder joint, or you may see like just loose little areas in solder joints. Touch up every part.
Sometimes you can just wiggle the caps, and if you see it, if you're wiggling the top and you see the bottom moving,
you got problems.
There is definitely a crack or something going on there.
Right. And he says we may need to replace some parts on chassis as well. Send us some pictures of your monitor chassis and we'll help you out further. And Tim, we say the high voltage section. What are we talking about? We're talking about where the power comes into the monitor. We're talking about hot. We're talking about flyback. We're talking about filter caps. We're talking about a whole bunch of parts in there that may be causing some issues, right?
Yes, the B plus voltage.
Yes, exactly. So we need to make sure that all that voltage is correct, because more than likely that B plus is probably dropping whenever we get the mid-game going out.
I'd almost guarantee it.
Yeah, exactly. So there may be some other parts, and if you send us whatever monitor chassis you have in your game, Randy, whatever the model and the make is, we may be able to help you pinpoint those, because Tim, it's hard to just kind of say, that's a K7400 or whatever, which may be close to what it is, but we don't want to recommend anything without knowing exactly. So let us know what monitor chassis, brand, model you have, and we may be able to actually help you decide what parts need to be replaced.
Sure.
So, but touching up, Tim, and I think you mentioned this before, just touching up the solder points may fix the issue.
It may.
Especially if you're hitting it and it's coming back on.
That really... Or just your neck board being loose. Make sure that sometimes reconnecting that, you'll see that stuff on there. They'll put
high voltage, don't touch.
Yeah. And, you'll see, it looks like
elastic
old gum and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a reason they put that stuff on there, because moving games around and stuff, those would get loose. So sometimes it's quick to just reconnect that and push it in there really good with the power off, of course. Don't do this with the power on.
Absolutely.
No testing with your fingers.
Okay, there you go. So, Randy, hopefully answers your question. Let's start by just touching up all the solder points on the game to see if that fixes the little issue with the monitor.
And it could be, especially the flyback could be going bad too. So those are kind of if everything's touched up and working to an extent, you're still having that issue, that's another area I would concentrate on.
Sounds good. So, Randy, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting that Area 51 Maximum Force cabinet back up and running 100%. It's always frustrating, Tim, when you had a game working, and then all of a sudden it's not running, right? So, absolutely. Okay, let's check over here, and Warlord Psycho says, can't see it well. I'll look it up on the site. Thank you very much, and yes, the videos are helpful. So thank you. We're glad you find the videos helpful, and like I said, if you have any specific issues with that, let us know. We'll try to help you out with the wiring. And Tim, like I said, maybe we'll shoot a video.
And that's a really new video, so he probably may have not seen that yet. So you can go. I like how you included that link to go right to that spot of the video, because it's a 2-hour video.
It is a 2. It's
a very long video. So but it's the kit we're recommending recommending is what we were doing in that video, so maybe that will help some too.
Absolutely.
We got a few other comments.
Yeah, and then let's see here. Okay, Louis answered a question from Captain Retro. He says, "Where is the best place to find replacements?" He said, "Recently I had to gut an original ROMstar Ghost and Goblins due to excessive water damage. 2 of the leaf spring switches in the control panel have broken leads, and the solder basically are soldered basically on a broken nub. Where's the best place to find replacements?" And I mean, I assume here, Tim, that he's just talking about the. He says leaf spring switches. Okay. I guess he's just talking about the leaf switches themselves.
Probably.
Or no, the switches themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you can get the switches. Arcade Shop sells the switches as well. I think Mike's Arcade sells leaf spring type switches.
Most places, the Twisted Quarter, I'm sure a lot of those do. Mike's Arcade for sure does.
Yeah, so you can get those leaf spring switch types, I think, from there. And Louis was actually saying, I don't think he's talking about the cherries here. I think he's talking about the leaf style switches. You know what I'm saying? And so with the leaf style switches, but Arcade Shop, I'm pretty sure has them, and Mike's Arcade, I'm pretty sure has them as well. Mike'sArcade.com, ArcadeShop.com, I believe have those leaf spring switches. And it looks like Louis just threw up a link. Thank you for that, Louis. So hopefully Captain Retro can go there and check it out. Cool name. I love Captain Retro. That's a good one. So, okay, Tim, let's go on here. We have Philberto. Okay, and Philberto says, "I have a question. I have a San Francisco Rush the Rock with no sound. The test menu says sound processor not responding, and the LED for sound on the board is off. Could the sound ROMs be the issue here, or could it be the sound amp or a board issue? I just don't want to spend money on the wrong parts because all of those things are pricey. I have another non-working Rush that I borrowed the sound ROMs from and the amp from, but the problem persists. Then again, that Rush won't even load up, so it could have had a faulty sound parts. I would just like to have one fully working Rush before I tackle another one." And he sends this picture and he says, "By the way, I know that I need to turn the brightness down on the flyback and the monitor needs a cap kit. Ha." But this is just showing here, Tim, the error message that he's getting, and you'll see sound processor not responding when he tries to do the sound reset.
Okay.
So, Tim, obviously we're dealing with a board issue here with Rush the Rock. So what could be going on with Philberto's Rush the Rock that would cause this no LED on the board sound issue type thing?
Well, you've got to always start at the power and make sure that you're getting power to the board.
Right.
So power can go through the board.
Exactly.
So, you've got to get the right power going in to get enough power to output. So those are a couple things I would check.
So here's the thing. He asked if it's the sound ROMs, but then he proceeds to change out the sound ROMs with another board, and it still doesn't work.
Yeah, and it'd be kind of unlikely
that both sets of sound ROMs would be bad.
Yeah, or that you wouldn't get any sound.
Or that both sound amps would be bad.
Right. So, yeah, first thing I would have thought would have been a sound amp. There may be some capacitors in that area.
Right.
You can change those, but I'm really thinking he probably got some kind of connection between his board and his sound or something like that.
Okay. So, Tim, I threw up some stuff here, and let's show it here. So, Rush the Rock, Tim, that's kind of the sequel to the original Rush. And so, from your description, it sounds like it's related to either the sound or main board. Tim, I think we figured that out pretty easily, right? And Tim, ASAP, right? What does ASAP stand for?
Always start at power.
Always start at power. That is correct. So make sure you get both the sound and main boards are getting the correct voltages. And Tim, obviously we want to make sure that we're getting good voltage into the main board. But we also want to make sure that the sound amp is getting good voltage or is getting voltage at all, because if it's not, it doesn't matter what sound amp we put in there, it's not going to work, right?
Very true.
And so there is a connection, Tim, and according to the manual that I found, it was connection P14 to CHIN2. P14 on the main board goes to that CHIN2 and delivers 12 volts to the sound amp board.
Okay.
Well, guess what? If you're not getting that,
you're not going to get sound.
Not going to get sound, right, exactly. So make sure that you're getting sound between the main board and the sound board. And Tim, there is a U44 audio instruction EEPROM that you may need to replace as well. That's also related to a lot of sound issues on Rush the Rock boards. So you may try replacing U44, okay, and seeing if that fixes the issue. But Tim, it sounds more like my sound amp's not getting voltage.
That's what it sounds like.
So, I mean, in this particular case, I'm probably going more with this either connection or, like, it could be the U44, but let's check the connection. Let's make sure we're getting the 12 volts and everything up to the soundboard to make sure that that chip is powered. Because if the sound chip ain't powered, it's not going to respond.
Exactly.
And that's what it comes down to. Tim, anything else that you have here for Philberto on this one?
No, I really like the question, and I hope that he is able to solve that based on I think we gave him some pretty good things to check.
I think we did too. So hopefully I answered your question, Philberto. And I will throw this up here because it was hard for me to find. The Rush the Rock manual.
Okay.
Okay, it was tough to find. So I did a quick little link, bit.ly/SF Rush the Rock. manual. You can find it there because I couldn't find one. But Tim, kind of like Zaxxon we were talking about earlier, I think there's about, I don't know, a dozen different versions of this board.
Probably so.
Depending on the type that you have. So that manual may not be the manual for your particular version. So you may want to consult whichever version you have and then see if you have a manual for it. Because these schematics could be very different depending on what version you have.
Gosh, I have been at Chuck E. Cheese a long time.
Yeah, Rush the Rock.
I had one of those.
I knew you had Rush the Rock. You had a
when
Cruise USA
new.
too.
when they were new.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So anyway, Philberto, hopefully answers your question. Good luck getting that that audio problem solved with your Rush the Rock board. We want you to have a working one too, right?
For sure.
Absolutely. So Philberto, nice guy, Tim. I think we met him at Pinball Festival last year. So hopefully you're coming to Houston. We'll see you in Houston, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. So now, Tim, we have one last question. But it was a pinball question. And Tim, I mean, we're okay with pinball games.
Yeah.
I mean, we can read schematic, we can figure it out. But Tim, we know somebody who's really good with pinball machines.
Exactly.
And that's our friend Eric. And so we actually asked Eric to take this question over. And so I'm going to throw this up here. Since pinball is not our strong suit, we have asked Eric from the Question and Answer podcast to answer this question. And Tim, this question was from Michael. So here is Michael's question with Eric's response. So Tim, we're going to play this real quick. It's about 10-15 minutes long, so maybe a little bit. But if you guys are not interested in this, join us in the live chat. We'll be talking about some other stuff there. We'll be answering some questions while this is going on.
It's pretty detailed, so if you have any kind of pinball games and questions, I think this will answer more than just his too.
Oh, absolutely. And even some questions about video games, like Williams games like Defender, Tim, it kind of even goes into a little bit about that. So Tim, let's let Eric take it from here. Yeah. And you and me will answer questions in the live chat. And hopefully Eric will answer Michael's questions. So here we go.
Hey, Tim and Jonathan. Eric here. Looks like tonight we may have a question about a firepower pinball machine with some sound issues from Michael. And since I have my Arcade Repair Tips t-shirt on, I'm full of knowledge and ready to try to help out with the problem. So Michael writes, I have a 1980 Williams Firepower that has sound issues. System 6 board. I did a recap of the soundboard and that fixed the soundboard. It now works properly and the table did work great for about a month. Now Michael doesn't mention what type of sound problems he had before he did the recap of it, but going on to his next sentence, that might shed some light on that. After that, the sounds we're playing didn't match what was going on the play field. So you hit, whatever, and you know what sound it's supposed to make, but it's making a different sound. Perhaps that's what it was doing before. We're not really sure about that. I read that the sounds are handled by the driver board, just like the lights and solenoids, and that I should check the 40-pin connector. By the way, I have a spare driver board, so Williams used this same driver board for many years. System 3, System 4, System 6, System 7, so for, I don't know what that was, probably about 5 or 6 years. And they have this long interconnect on it that is troublesome. If there's a problem with this interconnect, the game will not boot. The MPU will not boot because it has to communicate specifically with these chips here in order to boot up successfully. So if you have one of these systems and you're having problems, the first thing that you do is replace the interconnect. And I always keep some spares here. This is the you put the female version on the driver board, and then the male version goes on the MPU board. You want to replace both of them, and I highly recommend using Great Plains Electronics as your source for it. They have some other suppliers. The male pins are not as long, and it just doesn't have as good of a fit on it as the ones from Great Plains, so use them. Also, the original ones on the MPU board are not they're not squared off like these. They're cylindrical, so they don't make as good of a connection. So always replace. It takes a little while. You're going to spend 20 minutes in replacing the interconnect, but it's going to make it much more reliable. Okay, so to carry on, He replaced the, it was suggested that he check the 40-pin connector. I actually did find some cold solder joints, hit them, and again it worked for another week, but started making odd sounds again, not making the correct sounds. Which he didn't actually replace the connector, he just checked for cold solder joints. Once again, I recommend replacing the connector, not just touching up the solder joints on it. Then he goes on to say, I pressed on each of the ROM and memory chips. This is on the MPU board. I think that might be the issue. Now the board is completely locked up with 2 red lights. On Williams, System 3, System 4, System 6. I didn't have one of the boards here handy, so here's the. Of course, you can, look at this picture online, but they have 2 status LEDs on the board. And as soon as you boot the game up and everything's working properly, they basically turn on and turn right back off. Within about a second, they turn on and turn off. When they've turned off, everything's good. So if the light stays stuck on, that means the MPU board is not running the program. So Michael decides, after running into that with the 2 solid red lights, said, I got sick of chasing problems, so I ordered a Rotten Dog board to replace the original MPU driver board. Which the Rotten Dog is actually a combination. This is a picture of it. It replaces, let's see how well that comes across. It replaces both the MPU and the driver board, so you don't have to worry about that 40-pin interconnect. There's some updates. It's a good board. It changes. It goes from changes the output transistors to MOSFETs. There's a laundry list of improvements that they have on it, but that will resolve his issue of the red lights being stuck on it. So that hasn't come in yet, but when it comes in, if he still has sound problems, do you have any suggestions on it? So one thing I wanted to kind of explain how the soundboard on these games work. Let's see, and I have one here. Actually, Williams used this soundboard in pinball machines and video games. Just a whole bunch of games use these same soundboards. I've got it kind of, which way do I have it turned? That's right way up. There we go. So you would just change, for the different machines, you would just change out the ROM on it for whatever you had, and then some of them, just like his firepower, would have a spot where you could plug a ribbon cable in here to go to a separate board if it had speech on it. But what's kind of interesting about these soundboards is that this is a self-contained. This runs entirely on its own. It has its own processor, where this one's missing the chip, but it runs all by itself, and it just takes, on this plug, it takes input from the MPU to play the specific sound. So it does not, once again, it runs entirely on its own. So if you're having problems with the game not playing the correct sounds, these are what they call these are the address pins. And in this particular machine on Firepower, it uses 5 of them. It can use more if it has more sounds, but what you're going to find is that you've got a connection problem between your MPU and the harness, between the MPU and the soundboard. Now, in the era that Williams made these soundboards, they used what they call IDC connectors, which stands for something displacement something. I can't remember what it is, but they use a punch down tool to push the wires in there, and they're not the best kind of connection. So these are always suspect. So the things that you're going to check are going to be on this connector, which is I don't know, I'd have to look at the schematic, the overlay for it. This connector, check on the back for cold solder joints or cracked solder joints. Kind of, do a visual inspection of your plugs. Do the same thing on the driver board. If you still had the original driver board, it's this connector right here. It's using some of these transistors right here just as though it were a solenoid. It provides a ground to the soundboard depending on which sound it wants to play. So ideally, the way you want to check this is have your game boards in with your wiring connected, and you want to do a continuity check between them. Now, if you break out your schematic, you can see that these connectors actually go to these output driver transistors, specifically to the tab of it, which makes it kind of easy to leave the connector plugged in. I'll show you what I mean right here. I'll try to be as quick as I can with this. But say, let's see if I can hold this up high enough. Like this top connector, I think that's pin 9. Look at that. It goes right to that transistor. So you know that is one of the data lines for it. So you can now hold your test probe on one, go down to your soundboard. You're going to do kind of the same thing. You're really going to need to look at your schematic to see exactly where it goes, because you can trace out the same thing on. I'd have to reference my schematic, but you can look to see where the pin goes. Find out it goes to this bank of resistors. Find out exactly which one it goes to, and you'll be able to find the correct. Anyway, the point being, you want to check your continuity on it, because what you're going to find is that one end of it, when you wiggle the connector, the continuity is going to go out, and you've got to figure out if it's a problem with the connector itself, or if it's the plug that plugs into it. And if you do have to replace that, go with the other style. I call it the Molex style. I'm sure people have different. It's also the KK style. Anyway, it's the same pitch, 0.156 pitch, but with the kind where you crimp the connector on and then push it into the plastic. But that's ultimately going to be the problem with the wrong sounds being played. Now Michael does mention at the end, should I do a power supply cap replacement at the same time? Yes, I would recommend doing that. That's not going to be the problem in this situation, but it's something that you do generally want to do. Understand these capacitors are 35 years old. They have a lifespan of about 15-20 years, so it's something you should do anyway. But anyway, I hope that answers your question. Thanks. Okay, one quick addendum, hopefully it's going to be quick, on the soundboard issue. Like I said before, the soundboards in these Williams games are a self-contained board, runs entirely on its own, has its own processor. The good thing about it is that they all do have a diagnostic button on them. So if everything is working properly, if the ROM in it, the EEPROM in it, that stores all the information about the game sounds is working properly, it will step through the various sounds, because you could possibly have a bad, if you had a game that was playing the wrong sounds, the sound EEPROM could be bad, but it's not going to be intermittent like Michael's problem. So just to show how this works, I'm going to turn on my power supplies here, and we're going to give this thing some independent power. Once again, no MPU is hooked up to the system. Let's turn it on, and let's see if I can tilt it. Let's zoom in on this. Hey, there we go. That looks pretty good. Which way? I'm backwards. Okay, there we go. But we always have this diagnostic switch, and I put a resistor in here to kind of turn the volume down a little bit. So sounds like this one may be coming from Defender, maybe. But you'll hear it sequence through all the sounds. And so if you've checked if you have good voltage, and I'm actually tying into the test points to give it voltage, but if you check to see that you have proper voltage on the test points, let me shut this off so we don't have to hear the game. This will let you know that that the game is running through, that the game code is good, processor, that everything on it is good, and that way you can at least eliminate the soundboard itself if you're having problems with the machine not playing the right sounds. Anyway, that's all.
Okay, Tim. Well, that was it right there. That was Eric's job. Did a great job of answering Michael's question about a Williams Firepower pinball machine, Tim, and the audio problems that were going on. And Tim, like a lot of issues with arcade and pinball machines, it really comes down to just continuity, right?
Yes.
Like making sure that you have good continuity between your MPU, your soundboard, making sure your soundboard's working properly, doing the checks that he showed. And Tim, the nice thing that Eric did was he actually showed us where you can test the continuity on the MPU and on the soundboard, and that way you can check the flow all the way through the boards, which is really great information. And Tim, that applies not only to pinball machines but also to arcade games, right?
Exactly. So there's a lot of good info in that part.
Absolutely.
You guys enjoyed
now
that.
while we were watching Eric's video there, Tim, we got one question from John, and John says, I have a Tato the Gladiator. It's a conversion game and I can't find much information, basic manual and really bad quality schematics. Is there anywhere I can go for this information? So Tim, I'm going to throw it to you. Is there anywhere that John can go for this information?
Well, he may want to try it by its Japanese name.
Okay, now I should say that there is information on KLOV about it, and that Louis actually linked to it.
But he may have checked that because we looked at that page, and the schematics aren't very good on it.
Absolutely.
So, if you did not know this, I'm going to spell this for you. It's Ugon no Shiro.
Ugon no Shiro.
Yeah, you're Japanese probably.
No, I'm Chinese.
You're Chinese, that's right. O-U-G-O-N. Well, to us Texans, they're all the same.
Ugon no Shiro.
Ugon. O-U-G-O-N N-O-S-H-I-R-O. So 3 words. Ogon no Shiro.
Okay, so if you do that, maybe you'll find more information about it.
Yes, try that because that is the Japanese name of your game, and that may help you find. But I don't know, really, though, since you're in the chat room, I'm going to ask the question, what's going on with it? Because it's just a JAMA game, what kind of schematics are you looking for? Because obviously, I guess he's having a board issue.
Right, exactly. So,
so
let us know, John, what issues you're having, and maybe we can help you out. Or maybe you just want more information about the game, Tim.
Maybe
whatever the case may be. But Oga no Shiro, apparently, is the Japanese name. So hopefully, searching by that may bring up some other information that you may not be finding. And Tim, somebody noticed it says Mario costume. Nice there from Sonic Who Brat. And it looks like you're wearing a Mario costume. What happened while Eric was on?
It was Halloween. I'm getting ready for Halloween.
Oh, well, there you go. So a Mario costume for Halloween?
Yeah.
That's a good one to have.
I don't know. I'm stretching this one out this year pretty good. I think this one fit pretty good about 5 years ago.
There you go. So, but yeah, it looks good. So you can go trick or treating with the kids. You have to get the hat.
I know. I need a hat.
So there you go. Okay. But anyway, guys. Well, Tim, I think that's going to about wrap it up for the questions.
Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to our tips and discussion and all that kind of stuff. And Tim, you didn't send me a tech tip this month.
Yeah, I have been traveling and so busy. We talked about maybe doing locks. Maybe we'll bring that up. If there's some quick tip that you guys would like to see or something we could go back over that we've shot a video on or something, let us know. But you did do something, though, that you pictured and took some pictures of, and I think that's really cool. I think that everybody would like to see this.
And we'll show it. But now John said one more thing. He says, I've got a bad ORAM.
Okay.
So you're gonna need a schematic to figure out which what to replace it with.
Okay.
So absolutely. So hopefully, that one on KLOV may not be the best schematic, John, but you may just try looking at it and see if you can determine what the chip is. So
yes.
Okay, here we go. So Tim, well, I've been busy.
Yeah.
Just little by little, I have been working on a game for the church. I think I mentioned this before. That I'm going to put up there. I'm going to let them play. But, Tim, I shot a video and put it on our Facebook page a while back. And just to show everybody, this was the video. It was basically showing that this cabinet had 3 different overlays on it.
Yes.
So it was a Raiden 2 cabinet. And it had a FabTech overlay, which was indicative of Raiden 2.
Right.
And then underneath that was a Gunforce overlay, which is up in the upper right-hand corner. And then under that was a Commando overlay. Wow. So this game had at least been 3 different games in previous lives, okay? And apparently everybody declined to just rip off the old panel, the control panel overlay, and just pop it on top of it.
Yeah, more layers than I'm wearing.
Exactly. So that's pretty heavy. So, Tim, what did I do?
Yeah.
I just threw another overlay over it and called it done.
No,
of course not. What did I do? I stripped it down.
Right.
Because that's what we do here at Arcade Repair Tips. We strip it down. So let's show some pictures. So after removing 3 overlays, you'll see the upper left-hand corner there is what it looks like. And Tim, you can still see the residue left by the Commando overlay.
And you might want to tell people, so John, what did you do? Mostly just peeling it off
right,
by
so
hand?
Heat
gun, okay.
Heat gun and razor blade.
Okay.
I mean, that was basically
a scraper.
it. And yeah, scraper. Razor blade scraper and heat gun was how I got most of that off.
It still looks like after removing the overlays, you have a lot of glue and
right, exactly. So even
residue.
after removing the overlays, we still had a lot of glue and remnants from the old Commando control panel overlay.
Right.
So you'll see here on the right the remnants of overlays.
Oh my gosh!
Okay,
yeah.
which is a huge pile of just sticker nasty, years of residue stuff. And then at the bottom, though, you'll see after removing the residue. So this is after using WD-40 and a scraper to scrape off all of that glue. Okay,
wow.
So I didn't get all the glue off, obviously.
So
you never do.
This was not a 30-minute project. Then.
No, it was actually done in several steps, I would say. So we did a couple of different steps here and there to get all of that removed. And Tim, if you've seen our video on redoing a control panel overlay, you've seen all these steps. I mean, I'm not showing you anything you haven't seen before, but you may not have seen it done on a panel that had 3 different overlays on it already.
For sure.
So all of that, Tim, and I'm excited to show off what it looks like today.
Yeah.
Can I show that?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. So after all that work, guys, this is what it looks like now.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well, that looks great.
So, Tim, we replaced the plexi with new plexi. Now, I will say the first time I drilled into the plexi, I cracked it because I did not have the step drill bits.
Okay.
So I bought a set of step drill bits, okay, and then did the plexi like we show in our video on drilling holes in plexiglass, Tim, and it worked great. And then like I said, we put the put new controls on it, new overlay and everything, and so as you can see, looks great now.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it really is.
Where did you get that overlay from?
That overlay came from eBay, arcadeoverlays.com, I think.
Okay.
So that particular one right there. So but I thought it came out fantastic. I was very happy with the finished product, and so plexiglass, definitely want to use step drill bits. Mm-hmm. Okay, just for the record, I had to go get another piece cut, Tim, because I cracked it, and that was my bad. I was being impatient. I'd already ordered the step drill bits, but I just didn't want to wait for them. Right. You know how it is. It's like I have time right now. I don't have time later, and I ended up paying the price for it. But overall, I thought it came out really nice.
In a pinch, I have just used a soldering iron or something and burned a hole.
Yeah, and that's a good way to think about it too. And Tim, I have that little heat gun thing too that does that. And so that would do it as well. But with that overlay, I think it'll look really nice for them. And Tim, I'm putting a 412-in-1 board in it for the church. I got to disable some of the games, but I've already played it, and the 412 board's got a lot of good games on it. So awesome. I was very happy with it. But anyway, so there you go. So control panel overlays, guys. I mean, do yourself a favor, just remove them. And Tim, a lot of people do the burn, like they burn them off there. What do you think about that? Like lighting them on fire. Well, a metal one. This is a metal control panel.
I don't have a problem with it. One, it saves some time and stuff, but you just got to be careful because you're burning all that old glue and stuff, and it can really irritate your eyes and the smell. It's probably not great for the environment. So thereby, that's why we normally scrape and clean it off the hard way.
There you go. So, guys, control panel overlay questions. If you guys have done control panel overlays, have one that you want to show off, send it to us in the chat. We'd love to see it, or have some tips on control panel overlays. We can talk about that. But Tim, one of the biggest tips I can always say is like when you're trying to get off that many overlays, heat gun, heat gun, heat gun.
Yes.
Heat gun, it'll take that glue and it'll really allow you to play it off. Uh-huh. Right, exactly. So heat gun is so vital when dealing with artwork like that to remove. So
that's a tough job by yourself, though, too.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
So if I did it, you guys can do it. So it's not that big a deal. Tim, we did get a question here in the chat from Super Goya 2001, it looks like.
Okay.
And he says, hey guys, I have a JAMA bar top with a CRT that has a wavy black bar on the left side of the monitor. I'm not good at soldering. How hard is a cap kit for a smaller monitor? So the wavy black bar, Tim, sounds like it may be that middle cap, that likes to cause those little lines on the side. But more than likely, he probably just needs to do a full-on cap kit. How hard is it to do a cap kit on a smaller monitor?
It's not very hard. I mean, it's not any more difficult than it is on a normal. Maybe getting it out of there a little bit can be a little tricky, but it's not any harder once you get it out and get it in your hands to do it.
There you go.
There's usually not as many caps, or it's not very hard.
And you can see our video on installing a cap kit for more information on that, right, Tim? Mm-hmm. I mean, and that's one we did back with Michael back in the day. It's a great one. But basically, we show removing one cap, putting a new cap in, but you just repeat that process like, 20 times or something like that.
Right.
And then you'll have a fully recapped monitor. Works really well. Places for cap kits, Tim, real quick. Like Syracuse Semiconductor is a nice one, right?
Xenon Electronics.
Xenon Electronics is a good one. I mean, there's a lot of places.
Arcade Shop, most of the suppliers will do also cap kits. So.
Absolutely. So, yeah, if you need a cap kit, there's a lot of places. And if you could check our resources page at arcaderepairtips.com/resources, you'll find a lot of places that sell cap kits. Right, Tim?
Yep.
So there you go. Okay, so we'll continue here. And, Tim, we had some discussion on the Facebook page. And, Tim, this was kind of inspired by you.
Okay.
What are some things you have learned not to do when it comes to arcade repair? And, Tim, we had this, don't touch that part, don't use that tool. I like don't put that thing there.
Right.
So, I almost want to say that's what she said, but I'm not going to do that. So, there we go. So, Tim, what are some things you have learned not to do when it comes to arcade repair? So, I will go ahead and read some of the responses. And, Tim, maybe you can enlighten us with some of yours. Patrick says, one thing I've learned not to do is to not randomly throw parts at a problem hoping to fix it. Tim taught me the ASAP method. Always start at power. If the power is not there or the voltage is too high or too low, then no amount of parts is going to fix it. I check the power first, and if it's correct, then I check the fuses. If both are good, then I know it's something else. And Tim, I think that's good advice for everybody. Oh, Tim, cap kits, Ian Kellogg. Another good place, and Louis linked to that too. I'll
Yes.
throw that out there. It's a good place to get cap kits as well. Matt says, learn which end of the soldering iron is which. Yeah, Don't touch the wrong end of the soldering iron. I would say that's really good advice for everybody out there. April says, don't use a screwdriver with a ground wire to discharge, especially of a vector monitor or for a vector monitor, I think is what she's saying. Use a high voltage probe. And Tim, I know we show the screwdriver method, but we all know that the proper way to do it is with a high voltage probe, right? I mean, and Pat Danis was probably the first one that really showed us the high voltage probe, which is pretty awesome. But you guys can get high voltage probes to discharge your monitors instead. And on black and white monitors, vector monitors, those are much better.
Right.
For your regular color roster monitor, I mean, really, screwdriver is fine most of the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, so it just really depends on what kind of monitor you're discharging. But a high voltage probe is almost always better than the screwdriver method.
Sure, and they're not very expensive.
Right, but you may not have a high voltage probe.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. That's why the screwdriver method works in a lot of cases. So.
Find them on eBay. They're cheap.
There you go. And now she has a bonus. Ensure you have the proper type and number of breakers to handle the machine load, which means that make sure you have enough breakers to handle the amount of games you have in your man cave, game room, whatever you have. So Greg says, never wear loose necklaces when leaning over a monitor.
I believe that.
And I think that's probably from experience, Tim.
Yeah.
And then Greg also says, never solder anything in shorts.
Yeah,
Trust me on this.
Okay.
So there you go. So, Tim, let me ask you, what are some things you've learned not to do when it comes to arcade repair?
Be careful wearing a wedding ring around a monitor.
Yeah, necklaces and wedding rings both are
jewelry can definitely do that. One time I remember we just grabbed a power supply off the shelf. I've learned how to always check and read the sides, just because you see ground and plus voltage. Not always is a 12 or 5. And we put a 24 volt and blew a board one time like that.
And I remember I blew up a Johnny Nero Action Hero because the power supply was set to 240 input voltage instead of 120 input voltage.
Is this a switch on the side?
Do not install your power supply until you've inspected it carefully first.
And we always now test the voltages with the power supply before we hook up the board and make sure everything is good there.
Just like we show in the assembly video.
Yes, we do.
So there you go. Anything else? Any other not-to-dos?
Oh, gosh, there's a ton of them, I'm sure. But
well, why don't we throw it to the live chat then? Live chat, if you have some do-not-dos when it comes to arcade repair, repair, please let us know, and we'll throw them out here before the end of the show. So, what is your list of things you should not do when it comes to arcade repair?
You don't want to adjust a horizontal pot with a screwdriver while it's on.
You don't want to test the monitor voltage with your tongue. I don't think that's a good one either. So there's a lot of different ones. If you guys have any don't do's when it comes to arcade repair, please let us know. Okay, Tim, well, you may have heard that there was a particular item that went on sale, what was it, about a week ago?
Yes.
And you may have heard of this item because we've talked about it pretty much on every live show, I think. Mm-hmm. And that is the Super NES Classic Edition, which sells out quickly despite heavy launch shipments. And this was a GeekWire article here, Tim. Reports of stores getting as many as 50-plus units at launch, which is way better than the NES Classic. A lot of places got a lot more. It's much easier to get than the NES Classic that was last year. And did you get one?
No.
Okay, you didn't get one.
You didn't. I didn't.
You didn't.
You did.
I did. That's right, and I'll show it here in a second. So, for those of you guys who didn't get one, don't worry. More stock is on the way. But if you got one, let us know in the live chat. I want to know how many people got one. So if you got a Super NES Classic Edition, let us know. Tim, GameStop actually had them for sale for just about a 4-minute window this afternoon.
Wow.
Around 2:30. So I'm hopeful that the fact that we're seeing more and more in stock means that we're going to continue to see that through the holidays and that everybody who wants one will get one.
Hopefully so.
At this point, I would not recommend buying one on eBay from a scalper.
Right.
Okay, so wait it out. Maybe one will come in stock in your area, or there'll be a website.
And they're going to re-release the regular one too, right?
Yes, next year. Okay. So the NES Classic Edition, for those of you guys who might have missed out on it, may be able to get one when it comes back out next year.
Hopefully so.
There you go. So, okay, Sonic Who Brad says, don't bypass a blown fuse with a wire. I didn't do that, but I've seen it done in 2 games I have picked up. And Tim, this is very common, to bypass fuses with items, nails,
chewing gum
wrappers, or
exactly.
I like the fuse that's wrapped in the chewing gum wrapper.
Yeah,
it's like they tried,
right.
But just didn't work out. So yeah, no foil on fuses. Louis says foil is bad too. Oh well, Tim, I guess I should show this since we're talking about it. There we go. Now, Tim, here's the deal I made with my wife. This is a Christmas gift, so I can't open it yet. Okay. So I can't even play mine.
Wow.
I have it in my possession, but it is going. It's going in my wife's secret place after the show today. Oh. So her secret Christmas gift.
You ain't got a birthday or anniversary or
anniversary's already
Columbus
passed.
Day, something coming up in between.
Columbus Day, I think would be a pretty good holiday. Maybe I could talk her
Halloween.
into that.
You don't want candy, you want that.
Yeah, that's right. So you'll see here's the back of it. And guys, there's a million unboxing videos, so I mean, I don't even want to unbox it, but we're gonna keep. Tim, I have learned anticipation. I love anticipation. Okay. So anticipation is what it's going to be. Do not open till December 25th.
Well, you remember how it was when you were a kid. Christmas took forever to come. Now you're adult. It flies.
Exactly.
Really
so why not have some anticipation with it? Sure. So I got one of these guys. And here's the deal. If they do come in sale and we can get it posted before they sell out, we will post it on our Facebook or on our Facebook page.
For sure.
Which we've always done. So if you guys are looking for one, we will do it. We'll help you out with that. So, but there it is. So
what's he saying?
Oh, let's see here. I see. Okay, let's see. Wonder if they will keep you from modding it when the new ones come out. And I think he's talking about the SNES Classic. I don't know. I've seen some mods for the Super NES Classic already. Tim. Okay. So already. And let's see. Stonefry says, I thought it was going to be a giveaway. I feel sad now. I'm sorry. If we can find one to give away, maybe we'll do a giveaway.
Hey, maybe
there you go. But guys, I was only able to get one, and that's my Christmas gift. So if we can find another one, we'll see. Now, if you come to Houston, we will be giving away some stuff.
Yes.
Okay, but we'll talk about that here in a second, okay? So come to Houston. In fact, let's talk about it now.
Okay.
Since it's here. We're going to be in Houston. Okay, we're going to be in Houston on October 20th and 21st at the Houston Northwest Crown Plaza Hotel in Houston, Texas for the Hag, right? Every year we try to attend the Hag. It's one of our favorite shows of the year. Tim, unfortunately, you will not be able to go because of the California trip, right?
Yes, more than likely. Unless I can swing it all and get some stuff done as soon as I get back, I probably will not be able to go this year.
Right, so you guys can join us. We will be doing a seminar there, okay? And it's either going to be me, Eric, and Chris, or it's going to be me, Tim, Eric, Chris. It's going to be one combination of those. But we will be giving out free stuff.
Yeah.
So let's see, Tim. Should we show what we're giving away? Show some of it.
Yes, at least a couple things.
Okay, I'll show. Let me see. I gotta come over here real quick. Okay, you can tell me if this stuff is good. I don't know. I think we're only gonna give away one of these. Maybe I'll just do this one for now. Okay. So, I think we'll give one of these. You guys okay with that? So we'll be giving away a Sega Genesis, what is this, flashback console thing?
Yeah.
This is not the new one. This is the one right before they did the latest one. Comes with 2 wireless controllers. So how about a Han Solo? Little pillow-looking thing. Let's see, a little video game thing. And then a digital multimeter, Tim. This is a famous digital multimeter. We used it in the Assembling a Cocktail Cabinet video. So you can have a famous multimeter. You can have a Genesis console. You can have a Han Solo little pillow thing. You can have a little video game console. And I've got a couple other things, but we'll save those as surprises for later.
There we go.
So there you go. So you guys come...
We always give away something. Some good stuff.
Free stuff, right? So if you guys come to the seminar in Houston, we'll have some of that stuff, and Eric and Chris will be there for sure, and me to go over some of your questions and have a good time. So there you go. So again, let's throw that back up, Tim. Houston. So, Ron, that was my messy game room. Sorry about that. That was the side cam. Okay, so Houston, October 20th through the 21st. Houston, Northwest Crown Plaza Hotel in Houston, Texas. ArcadeCenter.com, Tim. ArcadeCenter.com. If you guys want to join us there, you can get the tickets there. You can see them. $20 in advance for a one-day ticket, $30 at the door. $30 in advance for a weekend ticket, $40 at the door. And again, our seminar is on Saturday, October 21st at 4 p.m.
Right.
So there you go. Okay, and lots of free stuff we'll be giving away. We'll have some other stuff too. That's just some of the stuff we're showing off right now. So, okay, Tim. Well, why don't we? Let's see. Why don't we give some of our live show viewers a deal?
Okay.
What do you think? So, how about this, guys? A special online store sale for our live show viewers. Just you guys. Nobody else.
Okay.
Okay, so you have to be watching the live show right now. You can get our volumes 1, 2, and 3 DVD set for only $38, Tim.
Okay.
That's $7 off of our regular price.
That's like
15,
how many hours
18%.
of videos is that?
It's 3 disc worth.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking about a lot of content. So this 3 disc DVD set includes over 60 minutes of never before seen bonus material that you won't find on YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, so there are 60 minutes of never before seen footage you will not find on our YouTube page you guys are looking at right now. To get the special pricing, visit arcaderepairtips.com/store/sale. Go there now. Okay?
All right.
But usually, Tim, we sell it for $45.
Okay.
So it's $45 for the 3 disc. This time you're getting them for $38, so you're getting them for $7 off our regular price. Tim, what are some of the videos on those? There's one on testing a horizontal output transistor. There's one on removing and installing a flyback. Okay. There's one on, let's see, what else do we have on
Lots
there?
of monitor repairs.
Yeah, there's at least a couple of monitor repair videos. But, I mean, you're getting some great bonus material you're not going to find on our YouTube page. But that's only when you buy our DVDs, right, Tim?
Right.
So DVD exclusive videos. For those of you guys who don't know, we release DVDs. Most of the DVDs contain some of the videos from our YouTube page.
Right.
But we have the bonus videos. That's what the DVDs are all about. And so again, Tim, just to show you guys, get our DVD set for $38. $7 off of our regular price. Go to arcaderepairtips.com/store/sale. So there you go, Tim. Special pricing only for our live show viewers because we love you guys. So, and thanks for being here tonight. So lots of great information there, like Louis said. Lots of great stuff for you to learn. And Tim, just a lot of nice exclusive videos that you don't get on our YouTube page, right?
That's right.
So there you go. Okay, Tim.
Not sold in stores.
Not sold in stores, only on our store.
Right.
So only on our online store. So there you go. So guys, pick it up. Again, arcaderepairtips.com/store/sale. Tim, I think we're done.
All right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and give the contact information real quick. And guys, we have an email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. That's questions@arcaderepairtips.com. And you can put live show in the subject if you want it mentioned on the show, or you can just send your questions there and we'll answer them as we get time. Again, that's questions@arcaderepairtips.com. We have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, which you're here. If you're watching this, you're here. You're on our YouTube page right now. And comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode. So you leave a comment there, we'll cover it here on the next episode. Guys, we have the podcast, and that's at podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. And that email address goes to Eric and Chris, who are the hosts of the Question and Answer podcast, which is an audio podcast. And guys, you saw Eric tonight explain just a little bit about the Williams Firepower pinball boards. Just imagine the kind of detail that he would give you on the audio podcast. So make sure you guys check that out. Great information, and you can subscribe on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com or on the Stitcher page at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. And then, Tim, we have our social media pages at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com and twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. We want to thank Louis and everybody who participates in our Facebook page. It's a great place for you to get information on all sorts of things, including Super NES Classic availability, Tim, which we try to do whenever possible. So, okay, Tim, Well, I think that wraps it up for our show. You want to do an after show?
We'll do a short one.
Okay, short one it is. So, guys, stay tuned. We're going to do a short after
this thing.
Okay, we're going to do a short after show, and then we'll be right back. If you guys want something that's non-arcade related, right?
Sure.
Not arcade related, then we'll come back for that. But, guys, we want to thank everybody for joining us in the live show tonight if this is where you're getting off. And stay tuned for the live show if you guys want to talk some movies and things and everything like that. But we want to thank you guys. Happy Halloween!
Yes.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween.
So, whatever you're being dressed as, have fun. And maybe we'll talk about which costumes we're going to wear and all that kind of stuff in the after show. But anyway, guys, take care, good night, and remember here, Tim, at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game, we play the game. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Adios.
There we go. Oh. And there. Okay, and we're back for the after show. After show of episode 8. And you changed.
I got my work shirt on.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready to go to work.
Chuck E. Cheese, where a kid can be a kid. Is it still the tagline after all these years?
That's what they say.
Okay, there you go. So, guys, welcome to the after show. And I threw up the outline there for just a second. Tim, I'm so bad at clicking things.
Okay.
And so we do have a couple of things. But before we get into that, is there anything you want to talk about? Because I really didn't throw anything, for you up on the live show here.
Nothing in particular, but thank everybody for watching. We had a good group. A lot of people in the chat room. I would really like to get some feedback from you guys. How do y'all like the format and how it works? I liked Eric's video. I thought that was it's a good break for us, but it's also, you get to see him, and he really did a great job of showing, and his little test bench and stuff,
Oh, absolutely.
So I would really like to get some feedback on how you guys like the after show. I mean,
the
regular show, how we could improve it, or, I love the slides. We got pictures of stuff. It's so much different than just doing a podcast. For me, I really like it. Not that I just like looking at myself on the screen very much, but at the same time, I think it's kind of a neat way to approach and do things. And people asking live questions. We didn't have as many questions tonight. I'm hoping that's because either you guys are a little bit shy or y'all just didn't have any questions. Y'all were just wanting to contribute over there, but there was a lot of thank you, Louie, for being there and for all that stuff. It's just one thing we get to this after show part. We're either talking about sports or movies or whatever, but just how great life is in general. We just had this horrible tragedy in Las Vegas, and just thinking that we're not going to be here forever, and you won't be either, but just making the most out of every day is kind of where I've been. you don't. And then last month we had the hurricanes that hit Florida and Houston and
Puerto
and
Rico
stuff.
now.
And in Puerto Rico, and you start thinking about, man, life is really not that bad. Some of my problems that I just think are so huge, are really not as big as I think they are.
Exactly.
And so, the fact that we even can own a game and get to play games, I think that's so cool. It's still, don't lose the little kid in me still gets excited. When I got my new game package coming at Chuck E. Cheese, we're getting a Luigi's Mansion, and I'm, I already have my Mario suit on ready to play. It still won't happen till next month. I'll try to take some pictures and stuff of some new games that we're getting. But the fact that there's still new games coming out, and there's still arcades that are open, and we try not to get in a lot of politics. I know that we could talk about standing, kneeling, and all this stuff. Some of it. And I believe everybody's entitled to their opinion. And I try to, I have a lot of people on my Facebook. Some believe this way, some believe that way. I try to listen and be fair. But, really at the end of the day, a lot of stuff that we don't agree on don't matter. It really doesn't matter, Mm-hmm. And so games to us really bring everybody together. And we just, it's so cool to go to the Hag Festival and places like that. So, I'm looking forward to, I hope that I can go to this one. If not, to the next one that we can go to, and being in California to see some, maybe even meet some people out there would be cool. I feel like Mr. Rogers.
I was about to say, it's like we're doing a Mr. Rogers
I'm putting on my shoes now because I took them off when I put the costume on. I don't know why we did that. We just decided to do something different, give you guys something to look at. So, John, so I know you're crushed that the Rangers didn't even make the playoffs. So you're really turning into a Houston fan now, or at least in the temporary?
I'm rooting for them. After all that they've been through, you know how it is.
Yeah,
just and they're Texas. I'm going to root for them. I do think it's going to be Dodgers and Cleveland. I think, like we talked about in the earlier in the show. But I enjoy baseball. I'm going to be watching in the postseason. Hopefully, you guys are as well. It's going to be good.
I think this could be Cleveland's year. I'm kind of.
Last year they were close. Game 7,
right?
The Cubs edged them out. So you just never know. Here's the thing, Tim. So Tim asked for feedback on the show. Let's hear that. So if you guys are in the live chat, feedback on the show would be great. What are you going to be for Halloween, Tim? What are you going to be for Halloween?
I haven't even thought that far ahead. Actually, I'm laughing because we put the costume on, but it's just because you had it over here, and I just thought it'd be funny. Haven't really thought that far ahead. I've got so much going on with just traveling and doing some things. I'll probably just sit at home and hand out candy.
Nothing wrong with that?
Yeah.
You guys have pretty heavy traffic through your neighborhood?
It's not as high as it has been since a lot of the churches are doing these big festivals now. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like where you don't see as much trick-or-treating as you used to, but we have our fair share. We'll have 30 kids at least, so just around the neighborhood. And a lot of them I know, and they all know me because they see me, and I'm the guy that works at Chuck E. Cheese, and they know that stuff. So, I always enjoy just handing out the candy about this time. I'm kind of on my dress-up days are completely over with, but we used to always have fun at Halloween. We used to always have a big party, and I know there's some pictures of us.
That's right.
We always
that
was kind of like our thing. We always did a big arcade Halloween party, so I miss that a little bit. So maybe we'll have to get back to that.
So we do a trunk or treat at the church, so I'll be involved in that. But my daughter wanted to be Anna from Frozen,
right?
So my wife ordered me an Olaf costume, so I'm going to be a big snowman. Out there with her, and my wife likes to do this whole theme dress up everybody kind of thing. So like one year we did Wizard of Oz, one year we did superheroes, we did the Flintstones.
I remember that.
So I'm gonna be in a big white snowman costume. If you guys see me, you can say hi and whatever. But hey, I don't mind it. I think it's fun. So our neighborhood, Tim, gets hundreds of kids. No kidding.
Bunch.
We get a bunch, and so I love handing out candy. It's awesome. So my Halloween, tradition is to sit at home. We sit at home, and we take Olivia before it gets dark.
Okay.
Because, we don't want her to be out when
she's still really young.
She's still pretty young. And so we take my daughter out, we'll take her trick-or-treating, and then we'll come home, we'll hand out candy to all the rest of the kids until about, 9 o'clock, even 8 o'clock, we're starting to wind it down a lot of times. But while we're handing out candy, we watch Young Frankenstein, which is one of my favorite Mel Brooks movies, maybe my favorite movies of all time. If you guys haven't seen Young Frankenstein, it's awesome. Highly recommend it. Watch it on Halloween. It's a great Halloween movie since it has to do with Frankenstein. But so we'll watch Young Frankenstein, we'll hand out candy, party, and I'll be dressed as a big snowman. So it'll be a good time. So
We may have to take some pictures of this.
I'm sure there will be pictures, knowing my wife. So anyway, so what are you dressing up for Halloween? Let us know in the live chat, or give us any feedback about the show. We'd love to hear it. Now, even if you're not in the live chat, Tim, leave us comments about what you're going to be for Halloween, or what you think of the live show after this is already gone, and we'll take it from there. So, okay, Tim, I got a couple of things up here. Now, a lot of people want to know, like, how do you know when the Super Nintendo comes in stock somewhere? Okay, well, I use a website called Zoolert. Okay, and Zoolert is basically a website that lets you know when items come in stock. Okay, and so they have a page dedicated to the Super NES Classic Edition. You guys can see the URL there. My advice to you, if you want one, is to sign up there and sign up for all of the alerts.
Wow.
So that way you'll know.
Drove around and checked everywhere all day long.
Exactly. No, I get a Zoolert. So whenever it comes in stock, just like it did at GameStop, even though I wasn't able to get another one, it did at GameStop earlier. I got an alert for that. And so use Zoolert.com to find Super Nintendo Classic Editions in your area. That was my tip. Tim, you got anything you want to talk about kind of tip-wise?
No. I've noticed you went down to the movies.
Oh, okay. We gotta go back. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll go back to the movies.
So movies, I watched Gifted. Have you seen it?
No.
So Gifted has Chris Evans, as in the guy who plays Captain America.
I've seen it.
And he's got a gifted niece.
Autism, right?
She's not autistic. She's a genius.
Oh, a genius, yeah.
His sister died, and he retained custody of this child.
Oh, yeah. I remember
and his sister was a genius.
It looked really good.
Right, and so he ends up adopting her, and the whole movie is about kind of how she's a genius, and then the grandmother wants to use her kind of as a, basically, use her genius to just figure out all these different things. And so it's basically the argument about whether or not you want to let a kid be a kid, or do you want to push them into kind of adulthood stuff early.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's basically what the entire movie is about. And Chris Evans' character wants to keep her a kid. I mean, he doesn't mind that she does advanced mathematics and stuff, but he still wants her to be in Girl Scouts. He still wants her to have a life, because he felt like his sister was a genius like that and she never had a life.
Right.
Whereas the grandmother just kind of wants to push this little girl more and more and more and more. And that's what Chris Evans' character felt like did to his sister that drove her over the edge.
Right.
So, and it's a very interesting movie. It was excellent. I can't recommend it enough. Gifted is the name of it. Chris Evans is a much better actor than sometimes he shows in Captain America.
Right.
He's actually a good actor. And so I really liked the movie. I liked the message that it sent. And it was enjoyable. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I also watched The House, the one with Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler, where they turned their house into a casino to pay for their daughter's college fund. But I fell asleep in it, so I'm not going to give it a review. I'll have to go back and watch it. That's what happens when you're tired, guys. Any movies, Tim?
I watched Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, the live action?
And the live action one is now on Netflix.
What'd you think?
And I actually, I was like, I was really sleepy last night. I said, I'm going to turn this on. It'll probably sing a lot and put me to sleep.
Right.
I watched the whole thing. It was really good. I was like, because you kind of remember growing up in that Disney era when those movies were really popular. And I thought it was really neat to do a redo of it, that form.
I haven't even seen it. I've seen the original several times. My sister made sure of that. But I have not seen the new one. I have not seen the new one yet.
It's funny, though, that's what I watch, but I'm kind of looking for my new Netflix show. What's going to be my next one?
Well, speaking of Netflix shows, I've been watching Cheers, which I've done the outline.
Okay.
And I love, I have never watched Cheers from the beginning and seen all the episodes.
And it has that backstory.
Yes, it does. It really does. And I didn't realize how much I was missing out just by watching an episode here and an episode there. I always thought it was funny, but I was just like, okay, what's the real story? And now that I'm watching it, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And Cheers is a really good show. It went for several seasons. It's got a lot of seasons, so you can watch it a lot. But the episodes are quick. They're 22 minutes or whatever. You can pop it on before you go to bed. It's something
I will
funny.
say I finally finished all 5 seasons of Wentworth. And people who've watched that show, season 6 is coming to Netflix next.
So what is Wentworth? I have no idea.
Wentworth is an Australian show about a woman that goes to prison. And it's kind of like The Orange is the New Black, but not so funny. It's more realistic kind of, and it has some the characters in it as it progress people who watch the show are sitting here going, "Oh yeah, I hope she died," you know, because it's like there's just the people you love to hate, and then there's the heroes, and then sometimes just really well written.
Okay.
And well acted. Very
Wentworth,
good acting.
I'll have
Wentworth,
to check it out.
it is, like I said, it's definitely an adult show, but it's not like it focuses on certain things. Like, it shows a little bit of everything you would kind of expect in a women's prison, but at the same time, it doesn't focus in on any one area, except for that one of the main themes I'll tell you is that in order to maintain prison control, they want one woman to be the top dog.
Right.
And so it's about being top dog, staying top dog once you're there, and they handle a lot of punishments and stuff themselves. So people who have seen the show, I guarantee you, and it's one of those shows, I'm going to tell you right away, watch about 3 episodes. The first couple then when it starts rolling, it really sucks you in, and then you're like, oh, and then they always have that twist at the end of the show, or it leaves you where you'll end up watching 3 episodes in one night because you want to know, oh, I wonder what happened. It's that kind of, if you like that kind of show, cliffhangers, the season finales on each one of them are like, oh my gosh, the first season, even the first season finale was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's that kind of show.
Okay, so Wentworth, I'll check that out.
Wentworth is about a prison.
Now I've also been watching all my shows. So *Halt and Catch Fire* just came back. There's 2 episodes left of it, and it was really good. They killed off a main character. I'm not going to say who because I want to spoil it, but they killed off a main character with 2 episodes to go. But it'll be over here in 2 episodes. But if you guys have never watched *Halt and Catch Fire* on your computer and you love the 80s and you love computer 80s tech, you should watch *Halt and Catch Fire* because that's what it's about. It's about these people who start companies and go from the 80s to the 90s and kind of talk about how the technology changes and how their jobs change. And it's very interesting. So
you know what else I've been watching, and this is funny. Glow came out.
I love Glow.
Glow is funny.
Glow is excellent.
Hilarious.
Yes.
Okay, but it brought me back to a time when I really thought wrestling was real and I loved it. So that's what I'm leading up to. I like Glow, but what's been more fun is going back on YouTube and watching old wrestling matches.
Oh, yes.
Real wrestling matches with the Von Erichs and Kabuki.
Now, have you... Okay, this leads me...
Junkyard Dog.
Okay, I listen to podcasts all day. If you haven't listened to Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard, you need to listen to that.
Oh, wow.
Bruce Pritchard worked for the WWE from like the 70s to like the early 2000s. And he tells stories about every single wrestler you can think of through that era.
Oh, wow.
And it's amazing.
And some of them were really great people. Like some of the worst bad guys were the best really good people in real life, and some of them were total jerks, that were just really horrible people.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there were just not much in the middle.
Now,
and
I was going to say this. There is a Glow documentary, too, that shows the real people on Netflix.
Okay.
So you should watch that if you like the Glow.
Okay, Glow is awesome.
Yeah, you should watch the Glow, the real documentary about it.
Okay.
That's really good. And then I was trying to think of what else. Netflix-wise, I've also heard that Ozark is really good.
I've watched a little bit
I
of
watched
that
the first episode, and it was kind of slow for me, so I need to get back in it. But I've heard that people have said that it is fantastic once you get into it. So
I actually watched my first ever Game of Thrones show.
What'd you think?
I don't know. It was like, it really was okay, but I know that it gets better because these people are like, oh my God, did you see what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, okay, a little bit, very adult, and so I have to remember this HBO, it's not like something I want my teenagers watching. So, for me, that's kind of like, when am I going to watch this show? I don't want to, and then I felt a little weird just watching it by myself, so I don't know if I'll continue to watch it much more.
Now, Louis said something in the chat that we should bring up. Netflix is raising the price by $1 on the main plan.
Yes.
Per month. So, which is $10.99 per month.
Still way cheaper than cable.
That's true, but at the same time, you can get cable services like Sling for around that.
Exactly, and I wish that they would grandfather. Okay, you've been with us for over a year. We're not going to charge you anymore.
Exactly.
That'd be my solution.
Now, I did just get a huge discount on Hulu because I canceled my account and they sent me an email.
Oh, yeah.
Saying that hey, you can have it for this amount now.
That's what I'm waiting on my Sirius radio.
Oh, there you go. No, you just need to call them up.
No.
You call them up, you say, you want to cancel, it's too expensive, and then they'll say, oh, we can offer you this. They will. I'm serious.
Well, yeah, she's offered me that, but I know it can go lower. You got to hold out for the $19.99 for 6 months. They may not be doing
$30 for 6 months is about the best you'll usually get. So, but yeah, call them up. Tell them you want to cancel and it's too expensive, and then they'll give you the reduced rate. But
you never take the first offer.
Yeah, $30 for 6 months is about the best they can do usually.
Okay.
So I'm just telling you.
That's $5 a month.
Exactly, $5 a month, which is a lot more than what you'd pay if you don't call.
And I've been enjoying listening to talk radio, sports radio. I'm like, I bet women really think guys are crazy. They could sit there and talk about sports for all 24 hours a day. That's
I get
so
sick
weird.
of it. I can't handle all of it.
Yeah, it's like you hear the same story over and over and over, and it's like, okay, yeah. It's like watching the news.
Exactly. So I'm going to talk about some games. I did get Cuphead, but I haven't had to play it yet. Tim, have you seen Cuphead?
No.
It looks like an old 1920s and 30s cartoon.
Okay.
Like it's a platformer like Mario, where you have a gun and you shoot the bosses, and all of it's hand drawn like I said, 20s and 30s cartoons.
Weird.
It looks really awesome. It's really awesome.
When you get out to
it's got great reviews, but they say it's extremely difficult. So I got the download. I started downloading it last night, and I fell asleep before I could play it. So hopefully I'll be able to play it tonight. I'm looking forward to that. And then Tim, I played some Trials HD while that was going. Trials HD is like an HD version of Excitebike. For the old Nintendo Love Trials. If you guys have never played any Trials version, I highly recommend that game. And then, Tim, we'd go to all these festivals, and at almost every single Gaming Expo festival, I would see an Xbox 360 with a Kinect and a big blow-up screen with the game Wipeout. Have you seen this?
Yes.
So, we were having a big thing at the church, and I said, I'm going to take my Xbox 360 and my Kinect, I'm going to go buy Wipeout and see what all the fuss is about. Tim, the kids had such a great time. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what Wipeout is, it's based on the ABC show where the people would run this obstacle course and they get hit and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So with the Kinect, basically, you guide your avatar through the maze. And when you get hit, the announcers are the same announcers from the show. They make fun of you. And I always see this at festivals and stuff, and I never got it until we started playing it. And now
great for church groups and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Great. And, they had such a blast with it. And now, Tim, I'm kind of on a Kinect game kick for the 360. I'm starting to try to get, all the games. Because, the Kinect was really great technology, and it's such a shame that it really was never fully adopted, I don't feel like.
Yeah, I don't either.
And it never really probably saw its 100% true potential, but it's still a great platform, and I love the Kinect as a whole.
Well, at our house, we like the sports games, and have you know what's cool about the new Madden?
What?
You play with your friends on the same team.
Right.
So you're the quarterback, somebody else is a running back, and a wide receiver, and y'all all working together, and so I think that's a pretty cool little twist because, they're all used to playing each other. Now your gang of friends can play.
Can you play Madden?
I'm not horrible at it.
I'm terrible at it. I can't play it.
But it's definitely, I don't play it as many hours as Landon does for sure. And playing with him is the opposite. It's like him playing me in Donkey Kong or something.
Right.
It's like...
Or NFL Blitz.
Yes. So... we're on such different... So I really got to play when nobody else is around and play more on my speed. Still too many buttons for me. Any Xbox game is, but...
There you go. Okay, Tim. Well, I think that about covers everything I had on the outline. Is there anything else you want to say? We didn't get any other replies than what we've already had. So
no.
I assume that everybody's already shut off the TV or shut off the YouTube page and they're off doing other
Probably
things.
so.
So I have no idea. But we want to thank you guys for joining us for the live show tonight. Again, first Thursday of every month, except for December. I forgot about that. December, Tim, we're going to have to reschedule.
Okay.
Because I have tickets to a concert.
Oh.
On the first Thursday of the month in December. It's a Christmas concert. Looking forward to it. So that will not be the first Thursday of the month. Next month will be.
Okay.
So as long as barring anything with you. On December, we may do the second Thursday of the month.
Okay.
Okay, so if everybody's tuning in, second Thursday of the month, that may be when we do it then. Anything else, Tim? Any other? Cowboys, I haven't been doing very good. I know me and Tim are both Cowboys fans. And then college football stuff. I'm a Texas fan that's been terrible this year, so I don't even want to talk about that. OU's doing pretty good, though.
Okay.
So
they're vulnerable
there you
in
go.
the secondary like crazy.
Yeah, I hear you.
Kind of like the Cowboys.
You're still the best out of the Big 12, so.
Probably so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, is there anything else?
Nope. Thank you, guys. We're on.
Okay, happy Halloween, guys. And remember, first Thursday of November, we'll see you guys again at 5:30 Central Time, and look forward to seeing you then. Peace out. Take care.
Thank you, Louie.
Good night.
All right. Get going. Still got